Hey guys, welcome back. It's time for another good anime to recap. Here's the anime title so no one in the comments asks. Source: I'm giving the disgraced noble lady I rescued a crash course in naughtiness. I'll spoil her with delicacies and style to make her the happiest woman in the world. So this wholesome story is about an overpowered demon lord who is betrayed. Yep, another demon lord betrayal show. It seems like anime studios are really running out of ideas this season. Anyways, MC becomes a hermit and adopts an abandoned innocent cutie to turn her into a bad girl. So in a big spooky forest, we see a girl running as fast as she can. She then trips and falls, like everyone always does at life-staking moments. There, a group of soldiers were chasing her, but they got scared and stopped for a moment. One of the soldiers told the others that deep in this forest, there's a demon lord who really hates humans, and if you get too close to his home, he gets all violent and nasty. Just then, they get a message that the girl is nearby, so they start chasing her again. In this situation, even if a 5-year-old warns you, just run away. While she was running, the girl said sorry to someone named Natalia for running off without telling her. She then appears to be promising something, but once again, she ends up falling again. And now as she stumbled, the girl saw a house nearby and passed out. The next morning, a guy named Alan reads a newspaper headline about a bad lady from a different country who has gone missing. He then feels something strange and goes into the forest to check it out. There he sees some weird animals gathered up as they are looking at something. So Alan starts to wonder if there's a monster around. Upon investigating, it appears that it isn't a monster, it's the girl. Seeing the poor girl in messed up form, Alan thinks that maybe she freed herself from abductors and has ended up here. But that's not it. We even see the soldiers hiding nearby, but Alan already knows about them, since he used some basic magic tricks to mess with their heads. Apparently, Alan saw their badges and knew they were from the Nero's kingdom, and they worked for the royal family. The guy then asked them what they were doing there, but they just kept repeating that he had to give them the girl. They explained that the girl was actually a big criminal who brought shame to their nation. But unfortunately, these silly soldiers had no idea that they were literally talking to the demon lord. Moreover, these soldiers promised the demon lord to not hurt him if he hands over the girl easily, but the boy doesn't look scared at all. Instead, he says no way and refuses to help the dumb soldiers, so they pointed out the fact that he couldn't use his hands and attacked him. But guess what? Alan could still use his magic. He gave those soldiers a big shock with his magic skills, and they were super surprised. What is this? Japan Got Talent or some sort of show? Then he gets ready for his next move. At this point, the soldiers got really scared because they figured out the obvious, the fact that this boy is the demon lord who lives in the forest. But it was too late for them. The demon lord unleashes a super powerful attack that defeats all the soldiers. Then he does something crazy. He uses mind control to make the soldiers tell him what about the whole story and what happened. The soldiers then reveal the fact that they have searched the forest but couldn't find any trace of the girl, so they thought she got attacked by a monster. After that, the demon lord sends the soldiers away as his new puppets, and so those soldiers lose their memory about what just happened to them. Later on, we see Alan keeping an eye on the girl and still not believing that she's a major criminal wanted by the whole country. Later, the girl then finally wakes up and introduces herself, as her name turns out to be Charlotte. He then reads the newspaper about her being engaged to the prince of the Nero's kingdom and that she was a traitor. Charlotte shyly tries to tell it was all a big lie. However, she is really upset and keeps saying it isn't true, but Alan has a special power. Apparently, he can tell if someone is lying just by looking into their eyes. Upon checking Charlotte's eyes, the demon lord reveals that she wasn't lying at all, and here, she starts crying because he was the first person to believe her. She explains her storyline about how she was at a party until her fiancé called her forward. She then started to overhear people saying bad stuff about her being the child of a mistress. Even though she ignored their comments, but then Prince Cecil literally starts accusing her of doing evil things without any actual proof. She even swore that she didn't do any of it. But nobody ever believed her because she was the daughter of a mistress. Everyone believed Prince Cecil's word, so the guy then actually accused her and said she was a traitor. He even called off their engagement, but that's not the case. The prince even ordered her to be taken to prison. But Alan could see that she was framed. He thinks that maybe the prince didn't want to marry her, or perhaps he just wanted to change the consumer of his meat. Meanwhile, Charlotte feels like she is bothering Alan, so she silently tries to leave. But Alan changes the subject and points out how messy the room is. He asks her if she knows how to clean, so Charlotte explains that she can just do the cleaning. But that's exactly what the guy required, therefore he immediately offered her a job as a live-in maid to take care of the chores. I hope cleaning is the reason why he is hiring her. But Charlotte reminds him that she is still a wanted criminal. Therefore Alan takes a minute to think about it. I mean, he is literally the demon lord. Does he really have to think about the law and order? Basically, Alan lives deep in the forest, far away from other people, because he didn't want to have anything to do with the outside world. Taking in a criminal would go against that, but at the end of the day, he'll have a story to tell. 3 years ago, he was invited to join an adventurer party. So at first he thought it would be fun and accepted. But those people legit used him to open the temple's seal to steal treasure, and then they even betrayed him. They left him alone against a bunch of monsters. However, Charlotte thinks that it is terrible, and Alan can't believe how pure-hearted she is just because she points out the obvious. She believes his story right away, because back then, he had no one to help him, so he thinks that they have something in common. However, Charlotte didn't want to cause any trouble for Alan and said no to his offer. So Alan does something drastic. He puts a curse on himself that would stop his heart in 3 minutes, and he reveals that he can't lift the curse until she agrees to work for him. Alan warned her that if she didn't decide soon, an innocent person would die because of her. Hence, Charlotte panics at this crazy situation because she thinks he is just a nice guy trying to help, all because she doesn't know he's the famous demon lord. He even claims that he is a good person, but he reminds her she has only 2 minutes and 31 seconds to decide. And if that wasn't enough pressure, Alan creates panic as he reveals that it is getting hard to breathe. Moments later, Charlotte gives herself in and becomes Alan's maid. Alan was amazed by how well she cleaned, and he remembered how rough her hands were when they first met. He realizes that she might have been a noble girl, but she was more like a servant. Charlotte said all she did was polish the floor, and Alan uses his magic to tidy things up. But Alan had a unique way of cleaning, which was basically burning stuff. It made Charlotte wonder if she was really needed. Alan pointed out how messy the room was before and confessed he had no idea how to keep a place clean. He said that when he is alone, he just uses the oldest trick in the book to pretend it isn't there. Charlotte was ready for her next chore, but Alan didn't have anything for her to do. He told her to do whatever she likes until dinner. She couldn't believe he wasn't worried about her stealing things. Alan explained he'd gone shopping for her earlier, and there wasn't much cash left for her to take. We call it waifu investment. Alan left Charlotte to do her own thing because he needed to work, and he told her not to bother him. Alan thought about how he couldn't ignore someone in trouble, but he also hates being social. He figures that even though Charlotte felt grateful now, she eventually get tired of him and leave, setting aside his demon lord duties, which are mostly don't disturb and don't be disturbed. Alan enjoyed one of his few hobbies. He likes finding mistakes in magical theory research papers and making corrections. After working for several hours on his research papers, Alan was shocked to find Charlotte standing behind him. She reminded him that he told her to do whatever she likes, and she had strangely chosen to count the grains on the wood floor. Alan discovered that Charlotte didn't have any hobbies. When she wasn't doing bridal training, she spent her time cleaning and mending clothes. She didn't have any free time for fun things. Alan couldn't believe she said such a sad thing with a smile. She continues her sad story, telling him that she didn't like her bridal training because she got yelled at a lot. When Alan asked for a recent happy memory, she mentioned the time her little sister Natalie brought her some fruit, even though it was a bit bruised. It was a special treat because they didn't get to eat such things often. Charlotte's story made Alan wonder why his face looked so scary to her, but he explained it was just the face he was born with. Alan thought about his fun times at a magical academy, where he enjoyed making professors tear up with questions and blowing up classrooms with potion experiments. He thought Charlotte should be having a great time, but she had no hobbies or fun memories, so Alan excitedly decides to give her a crash course in mischievous things in the world. He sold his magical equipment to afford it. He explains that being mischievous meant doing things that were not really good or moral but still fun. He loves this kind of stuff, but notices that Charlotte is an honest and genuine person. Alan wonders if she had ever stood up to the Duke's family. He realizes that she spoke about them like they were her masters, not her family. Alan declared that he was going to start teaching Charlotte a lesson that would make her lose her old self. Charlotte, who was all about being pure and doing the right thing, got a bit scared. She was taught to stay away from bad stuff, but Alan assured her they wouldn't do anything illegal. Her fear turned to shock when Alan revealed that the first lesson was going to be about eating sweets. And that was just the beginning. He told her to eat and drink as much as she wanted, and that was their mischievous lesson for the day. Charlotte thought it wasn't a good idea because they needed to have a proper dinner, not just sweets, or it would be an unbalanced diet. Alan expected her to react this way and said this was exactly why he wanted to change her. He believes the dude treated her like a servant despite calling it a family. Alan gives her some cake, but she refuses, thinking she can't have cake for dinner. Alan reminded her he was her boss and ordered her to eat all the cakes. Charlotte couldn't believe it, but Alan threatened to use the death curse on himself again if she didn't listen. Charlotte thought maybe Alan should pick what he wanted first, but he surprised her by saying he didn't like sweets. She couldn't believe he sold his stuff to buy all this, and it amazed her when he did because he thought it would make her happy. Alan thought she must hate sweets, but she actually loves them and took her first bite. The cake was absolutely delicious, and it made tears stream down Charlotte's face. Alan didn't quite get it and wondered if the cake had gone bad. But Charlotte explained that she was crying because no one had ever done something so nice for her before. She remembered her past and wasn't even sure if someone like her was allowed to be this happy. Alan told her to stop being silly because this was just the beginning. He planned to teach her all the joys in the world. He decides he was going to fill her up with food, show her all the fun things there are to do, and take her to places all around the world. He wanted her to have so much fun that she'd eventually get tired of it and say she was the happiest person in the world. Charlotte couldn't believe he was doing all this for a total stranger, and he admitted he didn't even know why he was doing it. But he was going to do it. Charlotte said she had no way to repay him, but he told her not to worry and to think of it as going along with his hobby. Charlotte wanted him to try some of the sweets, and he reminded her he didn't like sweets. But he gives in and tries it. To his surprise, it wasn't so bad, and they both enjoyed their super sweet dinner. Alan, who usually didn't like being social, decided to try it just this once, and they had a great time. But outside, danger was coming. Later, Alan starts thinking about how he met Charlotte and how she has grown on him. He never thought she would like cakes so much. However, he wanted to go the extra mile for her, making her experience new things. He then smiled as he decided on his next crash course. The next day, Alan wakes up, wondering when he fell asleep. The hours he spent overnight weren't wasted though, as he admires his newly compiled naughty list. He is so impressed with himself, and he thinks Charlotte will enjoy ticking off activities off the list too. He then realizes the list was made more to his interest than that of Charlotte. He thrashes the list with regret and decides to make a more suitable list for Charlotte. Charlotte asks him if it was work that kept him up all night, telling him that it was bad for his health. Alan takes her advice and says he will be going to bed. He tells Charlotte to have breakfast without him. Just then, Alan notices she is holding something and questions her about it. She tells him it's a broom and she wants to clean up the entrance. Alan is lost in thought, but Charlotte brings him back by asking if she wasn't supposed to. Alan tells her since she has cleaned up the places he assigned to her, she doesn't need to clean up anymore. Charlotte reminds him that she's in his debt and she would like to make herself useful. Alan is in awe of how diligent she is, telling her it's okay to take things easy, especially early in the morning. She tells him she is used to the routine and that she'll be fine. Alan asks her if she was cleaning every day she was at the Duke's mansion. Charlotte chuckles nervously. Alan thinks that her family must have had countless servants. The fact they still made her clean the house was just not right. He thought back to her story of how she was treated like a servant and exiled for a crime she didn't commit. This pisses Alan off, but Charlotte tries to calm him down. She bids him a good rest as she exits, telling him she will try to clean quietly. Alan wonders why she doesn't speak ill of others or say any word of resentment against her family. He knew if he were in her position, those who offended him would have been crushed by now. He continues pondering why she won't say anything about those who offended her, though she has something to say. He sums up that her fear and self-esteem prevent her from speaking up. Suddenly, a voice says good morning from outside. This causes Alan to rush to the front door to see a Catwoman standing close to Charlotte. Alan rushes to her side and introduces her to the Catwoman as his new maid. The Catwoman brushes him aside and exchanges pleasantries with Charlotte. She introduces herself as Miacha. She says she is a courier with Satiro's shipping company. Charlotte is too surprised to answer, and Alan explains to her that Miacha delivers his mails. Charlotte finally responds to Miacha. Miacha tells Alan she didn't know he could be so resourceful, calling him the Demon Lord. Charlotte is surprised by the name, but Alan tells her it's nothing but a nickname. Miacha calls him Demon Lord once again, noting that Charlotte looks a bit familiar. She recounts seeing Charlotte in a recent issue of a newspaper. Charlotte's broom falls from her hands, and she becomes scared. Alan sees her reaction and tries to sabotage the situation. As he prepares an excuse, Miacha tells him there's nothing to worry about, saying her company values customers' needs above all else. She tells him she doesn't mind who the maid in her customer's house is. Both Alan and Charlotte appreciate her confidentiality. Miacha tells Alan that the Neru's kingdom is outside their service area. Alan asks her if her actions would have been different if it was. Miacha says who knows, but her expression shows it would have been a different story. They enter the house and Miacha hands Alan's delivery to him. Alan asks if she can make a delivery for him, to which she answers in the affirmative. Charlotte asks him what he's delivering, and he tells her it's a magic potion he makes for the magic store in town. Alan tells Miacha to be careful and not let the bottle break while being transported. Miacha tells him she will be extra careful since his potions are in high demand. Charlotte did not know Alan made a living from selling potions. Miacha asks Alan why he doesn't want to live in town since it would be easier for him to sell his potions that way. Alan just says there are too many people in the city. Miacha recounts that he doesn't like being around people. She tells him to live a little since he is still so young. Alan tells her to mind her business with a stern look on his face. Miacha is startled and tells him people call him Demon Lord because his face is so scary. Alan thought it was natural for people to say such things about an evil-looking sorcerer living on the city's outskirts. Alan goes back to memory lane and we see 3 kids walking through the forest looking for the Demon Lord's lair. There are 2 boys and 1 girl. One of the boys tells the others that he heard the Demon Lord turn whoever comes close to his lair into puppets. The other boy is really excited, saying there must be a lot of puppets at the Demon Lord's lair. The girl, however, looks scared, telling the boys they shouldn't be going into the forest alone. The boys call her a chicken, and one of them claims he will end the Demon Lord's life by himself. Suddenly, Alan appears behind them, telling them the forest is not safe for kids at night. The kids are petrified with fear and take to their heels when they notice he is the Demon Lord. This makes Alan a bit sad. Alan comes back to the present, telling Miacha that kids enter the forest as a test of courage when they hear his nicknames. Alan says he just wants to live a quiet life. Charlotte asks if the title of Demon Lord is really just a nickname. Alan tells her it is, and he is nothing but a simple sorcerer. Miacha teases him, saying he hates people but he can't abandon those in need. She tells him to find a purpose for living or a hobby to pass away time. Alan tells her once again that it's none of her business. Alan approaches her and asks if her company handles mail order businesses. She tells him she can get anything he needs and hands him her company catalog. Alan looks through the catalog and hands it to Charlotte, telling her to make a list of whatever she may need from there. Charlotte makes her choice and Alan places the order. Charlotte promises Alan she will pay him back, but he tells her not to worry about it. Charlotte tells him she doesn't want to impose after everything he's done for her, but Alan assures her that he's fine. He tells her if she hesitates, he will buy every item in the catalog for her. At this point, Charlotte has no choice but to agree to choose whatever she wants from the catalog. Miacha laughs at Charlotte telling her if she wants to end the Demon Lord's tyranny, all she has to do is tell him off. Charlotte replies that she can't because she is indebted to him. Miacha rushes to her side and says if she were in her shoes, she would give Alan a taste of her killer cat fists to end his arrogant attitude. She playfully uses Alan as a punching bag, saying it is a great way to relieve stress. Alan caught her catfish, laughing naughtily as he got an idea of a new thing to teach Charlotte. The next day, Miacha comes back to deliver the goods ordered by Charlotte and by Alan. Charlotte gets a small bag, but Alan gets a huge wooden box. Alan peeps into the box and looks satisfied with his delivery items. Charlotte tries to look over his shoulder, but he closes the box so she can't. Miacha asks Alan what he is going to do with the delivered package, and he tells her he will use it, of course. Miacha says she isn't convinced he would use the package, but he tells her the package is not for him, but for Charlotte. Charlotte is shocked the package is for her and asks Alan what he bought. Alan laughs, and with a snap of his finger, the wooden box opens up to reveal a punching bag. Charlotte doesn't seem to know what it is, so Miacha explains its use to her. Charlotte doesn't understand why she should have a need for the punching bag, thinking it could be for physical exercise. Alan tells her that is the naughty item for the day. Miacha asks Alan what he means by naughty item. She also asks if it was a form of play, and if it was taking advantage of innocent Charlotte. Alan tells her thoughts are running wild, and he would never do anything so dangerous. Alan attaches a photo of her fiancé to the sandbag and helps Charlotte put on a boxing glove. Alan tells her she is all set to relieve herself of stress. He tells her to punch the bag as hard as she can manage. Charlotte is a bit reluctant to do it, and Alan tells her she doesn't need to just accept everything. She needs to be angry. He tells her it's okay to be patient, but sometimes it's also okay to let go so she doesn't fall apart. He continues telling her the emotions she ignores won't go away, but will continue to build up until she is overwhelmed by them. Alan tells her in a villainous way that everyone hesitates the first time they are told to hit something. But eventually, they all get addicted to hitting things. Charlotte tells him that she is not angry at anyone. Alan tells her he looked through many newspapers to get the photo. He also tells her he learned how they treated her as a villain in the Nero's kingdom, which frustrated him. He asks Charlotte how she is not angry after everything they put her through while she lives in Nero's. Charlotte tells him the prince probably had a good reason, but Alan tells her it isn't reason enough for them to treat her like they did. Alan asks her if she will forgive all they've done to her. Charlotte tells him she has to, since she owes her life to them for bringing her up since she was a kid. She says she also feels bad for the prince for having her as a fiancé. Alan realizes her kind-heartedness is a big problem, and it ruined his perfect plan. His plan had several stages. He first wanted Charlotte to resent all those who wronged her. Then the next thing would be to uncover the evil deeds of the prince. Then Charlotte's innocence would be proven, and she would be free. Lastly, all problems will be taken care of and Charlotte will get to live a happy life. Alan realizes his plan isn't enough to make Charlotte express her emotions because he is so used to suppressing them. Mayucha approaches him and advises him to leave matters as they are, and he agrees with her. Alan realizes Charlotte's wound is deep, but he can't wait for time to heal it. He approaches her and tells her to hit him instead of the sandbag. Charlotte is so shocked it looks as though she didn't hear him. Alan tells her once again to hit him as hard as she can, but she pulls away from him, saying he owes him too much to do such a thing. Alan tells her she doesn't have a choice, and he enchants the glove on her hand. The enchanted glove punches Alan against Charlotte's will and knocks him down. Charlotte is scared for him and tells him her glove moves on his own. Alan tells her it's a result of his magic and that she landed a good punch. Charlotte tells him he's bleeding and tries to take the glove off, but Alan tells her he's okay. Alan looks at her in all seriousness and tells her that whatever she may do to hurt him, he will never abandon her. He tells her she is no longer in the household she was in before and that she has the freedom to do whatever and say whatever she pleases. He tells her she is free from her old life. Charlotte asks him if she had her punch him just to tell her that Alan tells her she wouldn't listen to him otherwise. Charlotte tells him angrily he doesn't have to be so desperate. Alan is surprised she can be angry when she needs to be and tells her he can easily heal his wounds. He tells her nothing is permanent, hence she shouldn't be scared. She is not convinced, saying he felt pain regardless. She tells him not to do anything like that ever again because her heart can't take it. Alan promises he won't, taking the glove over her hands. Charlotte seems to get the message. She announces she will try her best not to be so afraid anymore. She says she eventually wants to be able to say what she is thinking. Alan assures her he'll be beside her every step of the way. Alan apologizes to Mayucha for making her deliver the sandbag on such short notice when there probably will be no need for it for a while. Mayucha doesn't mind, telling him as long as he keeps patronizing her when he needs special items in the future. Alan is not sure why she thinks he'll need these special items. While he and Charlotte look at each other wondering about the special items, a dangerous character finds Alan's house in the forest. With a sinister laugh, the character vows he won't escape again. Part 3. Alan asks Charlotte to choose between tea or coffee. Charlotte wants to have what he's having. Alan tells her he'll be having some nasty potion, so Charlotte quickly picks tea. Alan scolds her for not being honest, but she says it's nothing serious since it's just a beverage choice. Alan tells her she usually wasn't allowed to make a choice. She agrees, saying the time she ran away from home was the first time she ever chose for herself. Alan thinks it was an important choice she made for herself, assuring her to let him know if she wants to make similar choices. Charlotte thinks about what she would like to try after a sip of her tea. Suddenly, the window bursts open and a Catwoman sits on the ledge. Alan asks her how she found him. She tells him how she did, and Alan praises her for her initiative. Charlotte asks Alan who the woman is, and he immediately disappears from the window ledge and appears at Charlotte's side. She tells Charlotte she should be the one asking who she is. She, however, introduces herself as an apprentice sorcerer engineer called Erica Crawford. She tells Charlotte she is Alan's sister, but Alan corrects her, saying she's his stepsister. Alan tells Charlotte he lost his parents when he was younger and the Crawfords took him in. Charlotte apologizes for prying in his family business, but she tells him he doesn't mind. Erica tells Alan she doesn't mind and asks him who she is once again. She asks him if Charlotte is his girlfriend. They both answer no in unison. Alan stands and dramatically but firmly denies the girlfriend allegations made by Iruka. Iruka asks him if denying it doesn't make him sad, but Alan tells her he's indifferent. Iruka asks him once again who she is since she isn't his girlfriend. Alan introduces Charlotte to Iruka, but Charlotte wishes he didn't tell Iruka everything about her. Alan tells her there's no use hiding anything from Iruka because she will eventually find out any secrets they keep. Alan then recounts how he and Charlotte met. After Iruka understands who Charlotte is and why she's with Alan, she tells him she always thought he was a dummy, but she was wrong. She calls him a huge dummy, and he asks her why she thinks he's dumb. She tells him instead of making her hit him and teaching her naughty things, he should teach her about things that girls actually like. Iruka sympathizes with Charlotte and asks her if she can do anything to help her situation. Charlotte asks Iruka if she isn't suspicious of her. Iruka tells her she's good in her books. She tells Charlotte that if she was a bad guy, Alan would know immediately. Alan asks Iruka what her purpose was for coming to see him. She tells him she wants to bring him home, but her mission doesn't matter anymore. She tells Alan she will take care of Charlotte. Alan doesn't believe her, saying he can teach Charlotte naughty things better than anyone. He tells Iruka she isn't needed. Iruka tells him there are some things only women can teach other women. They argue for a while, pulling Charlotte recklessly as though they are in a tug-of-war match. Finally, they decide to compete for who will teach Iruka naughty things. Alan, Charlotte, and Iruka go to an alleyway in a populated town. Alan casts a shapeshift spell on Charlotte, which changes her hair color from blonde to black. Alan tells her he disguised her so no one recognizes her. Iruka offers to help Charlotte style her hair. Alan tells her though the disguise is perfect, she'll have to remove the disguise when they get home. Iruka asks him why, and he tells her that blonde hair suits Charlotte better. Alan tells her he likes it better, which brings heat to Charlotte's face. Iruka is surprised by what he just said. She asks him if he's trying to score some points already. He doesn't seem to get what she means, so she tells him not to worry about it. After styling her hair, Iruka takes Charlotte's hand and runs off, saying she doesn't want her brother to score points. Alan asks her what she's going to do. Iruka says since it's a naughty challenge, she'll teach Charlotte how to dress up since all girls love the game of dress up. Iruka takes Charlotte to a dress store and she tries on a particular dress. Iruka thinks it suits her very well. Meanwhile, Alan is feeling so out of place, but he can't leave in the middle of the competition. Being in a competition with Iruka once again is very nostalgic for Alan, and it brings back some memories of when the Crawfords took him in. Here we can see little Iruka bringing a chessboard to little Alan and initiating a competition. After a few moves, Alan checkmates her. Alan remembered how she always lost, but she never gave up. Alan thinks it is her own way of getting close to him. Iruka calls out to him and reveals Charlotte behind a curtain wearing a new dress. Charlotte feels a little embarrassed, but Iruka tells her she looks great. Iruka asks for Alan's opinion. Alan tells her Charlotte looks great, but the dress looks a little too short. Iruka tells him the skirt is alright, but Alan thinks it could be Charlotte's first time wearing a short skirt. He thinks her skin looks smoother due to her improved diet. Suddenly, Alan punches his chest and coughs out red water. Iruka and Charlotte are surprised, but Alan tells him he's okay. He tells him his heart was beating too fast, so he stopped it for a bit to calm it down. Charlotte tells him he shouldn't be stopping his heart so casually. Iruka tells him he pushes himself too hard sometimes. Iruka takes Charlotte back to the changing room to try on a new pair of clothes. She goes back to Alan, asking him what he wants her to do. He tells her he wants to know the current state of the nearest kingdom and what the nobles and people think of Charlotte. Iruka tells him she will ask her dad's friends for information about Nereus. She asks him if he wants her to look into the prince and his entire house, who falsely accused Charlotte. Alan tells her that can wait in the meantime. Iruka asks Alan if he'll let them go scot-free. Alan tells her he's definitely interested in the kind of person that can frame Charlotte. He is also interested in how she was treated when he was staying at the Duke's palace. He tells Iruka when he finds out these things he won't just stay quiet. He tells her he'll storm into the country and wreak havoc regardless of Charlotte's opinion. However, he tells her he's not ready for that yet, so they can live their lives as they please for the moment. Iruka sees reason with him with a coy smile on her face. He asks her why she's making such a face, and she tells him she's impressed with how much he has changed. She tells him he never concerned himself with other people's business, but now that he does, it's a good thing. Just then, Charlotte pokes her head out and asks for a hand with the dress clasped on her back. Iruka offers to give her a hand. Iruka goes behind the curtain. Charlotte shows her the position of the clasp, and Iruka asks her to turn around. When Charlotte turns around, Iruka pauses, with surprise written all over her face. Charlotte asks her if she's alright. Iruka comes up with an excuse saying the clasp was indeed difficult to fasten. Iruka helps her and then draws back the curtain, revealing Charlotte's new outfit to Alan. Alan tells Iruka he thinks the new outfit is too revealing as well. Iruka tells him not to be a prude, saying girls have to be competitive to win. Alan asks her what exactly they are fighting for, but she dismisses his question. Iruka tells Alan that Charlotte's outfit has a huge opening in the back and invites him to come take a look. Alan tells her he's not mentally prepared for that sight, but Iruka shows him anyway. He looks at Charlotte's exposed back and sees scars left by whips on her back. Iruka tells him to have a good look. Charlotte asks if everything is alright, and Alan tells her everything is fine. He tells her he wishes the dress was less revealing, but it looks good on her regardless. Alan looks at the scars, thinking they were left by whip lashes. He thinks these lashes were used to instill fear and pain into Charlotte. He notices that Charlotte doesn't seem to know about the scars. He raises his hands and a bright green glow emerges from his palm, healing her scars. Charlotte tells him she feels warm, and he lies to her, telling her he's amending a worn spot on her dress. She thanked him for that. Alan reasons that for her scars to clear up with simple magic, Charlotte didn't receive proper treatment for them. Alan still doesn't know what could have justified such hate towards Charlotte. Alan is fuming uncontrollably internally. Alan tells Iruka he will need her help to terminate the subjects of their earlier conversation. Iruka assures him of her full support. Charlotte asks who they will be terminating. Alan tells her book mites have infested their parents' home, so he's asking Iruka to air the books under the sun. Charlotte tells him she doesn't like bugs. Alan tells her he doesn't like bugs too, metaphorically referring to the Duke and his family. Iruka then asks Alan to pick out a dress for Charlotte. Alan is surprised by this. Iruka asks him if he wants to concede, but he tells her he won't be doing that anytime soon, though he wasn't comfortable doing it. He went over a few racks but couldn't make a choice. He picks one dress at random, asking Charlotte to try it on. Charlotte's face boils hot red. Alan asks her if something is wrong. He looks at the dress and notices it's not very decent. Iruka teases him for being too bold, but he tells her it's all a misunderstanding. They leave the dress shop. While walking down the street, Iruka asks Alan what he'll be doing for Charlotte. Alan tells her the naughty thing he's going to teach her is splurging. He tells Iruka he'll teach Charlotte how to relieve stress by buying things she wants without hesitation. Charlotte tells him to go easy on her. They come to a toy stand and Alan asks Charlotte if anything piques her interest. Alan tells her not to be shy and picks out different toys for her, but she doesn't like any of them. Iruka tells him he has zero taste, which crushes his spirit totally. After shopping, the trio sits around a table. Iruka sighs from the stress of shopping around a lot. She notices Charlotte making a face and asks her if she would have liked to shop for more items. Charlotte tells her she wants the entire opposite. In her opinion, they shopped for too much. She thinks they bought too many things for her, wasting money unnecessarily in the process. Alan tells her it's all needed to teach her how to be a bad girl. He tells her everything they bought looked great on her. Charlotte looks away embarrassed. Alan leans in close to her and asks her what's wrong. Charlotte covers her face in embarrassment. Iruka tells Alan is clueless and has no taste whatsoever. She tells him everything he picked out was lame, and most of the things they ended up buying were her picks. Alan tells her she doesn't understand his taste because she has the mind of a child. They get into a heated argument, but Charlotte comes in as a third party to calm them down. Iruka tells Charlotte arguments between her and Alan aren't so serious. Charlotte tells her fighting between siblings isn't good, and they both agree not to get into a brawl. Alan is determined not to lose to Iruka and tells Charlotte they have to continue shopping. Later in the day, as they are walking down the street, Iruka sees a man in a magical wheelchair. She immediately thinks the wheelchair looks cool, being a magical equipment freak. Iruka rushes off to take a closer look, and Alan tells Charlotte they can leave her there. Charlotte follows him hesitantly. Alan stops in front of a jewelry stand and picks out a piece of jewelry for Charlotte. He tells her he picked it out because it matches the color of her eyes. He pays the stand owner, asking her to keep the change. The stand owner tells him he paid way too much. Alan tells her he likes to reward people for a job well done. Alan fixes the jewelry on Charlotte's hair and she tells him it's Bee's favorite gift. Alan's heart shimmers at her compliment. One of the passersby bumped into Charlotte rudely, knocking her into Alan's arms. Two guys tell Charlotte to watch where she's going. They tell Alan they are from a certain gang, but Alan tells them he doesn't know of such a gang. He tells them he hopes to resolve any quarrel they have with Charlotte peacefully, but they think he's a clown. They want to engage Alan in a fight and Alan is also ready to bring them down for their incompetence. Then he remembers that Charlotte doesn't like it when people fight. He calms himself and apologizes. One of the men tells him they'll forgive him if they let Charlotte lodge with them for a night. Alan is pissed off. They approach Charlotte, urging her to go with them, insulting the gift Alan bought for her. One of the men reaches out to touch Charlotte, but Alan grabs his fingers and subdues him easily. The other gang member pulls out a magical sword. Passersby urges Alan to run away quickly, but he destroys the gang member's sword and knocks him down with one punch. Everyone who gathered cheers for Alan. Alan realizes what he has done and immediately apologizes to Charlotte for scaring her by fighting. Charlotte tells him she understands he was trying to protect her, telling him she'll never be scared of him. Alan thought Charlotte would leave him immediately, but he's surprised to see she kinda likes him. Alan smiles down at her, telling her he's addicted to teaching her naughty things. Iruka mentally yields to Alan on the naughty challenge. At this moment, a huge golem appears behind Alan, standing over him menacingly. The golem tells Alan he knows he's the one who took down his boys. The golem and his gang members approached Alan. Part 4 Charlotte hid behind him for protection. The golem easily towered over Alan. He wondered about the different ways he could hurt Alan. Alan walked up to him without a care in the world. Charlotte was scared for him, but Alan calmed her fears. When he got close enough to the golem, he asked him if he was Megath. The golem asked him why he cared. Alan confirmed he's indeed Megath. He tells him meeting him is nostalgic because he hasn't seen a Megath in years. He taps Megath lightly, laughing cheerfully. Megath is immediately angered and punches Alan, telling him he doesn't know him. Alan is unfazed by the punch, only the force of it moves him back an inch. Alan tells Megath he has a poor memory. Alan introduces himself to Megath. Megath immediately bows down. He apologizes to Alan with fear and trembling for not knowing who he was. The gang members think their boss is a weakling for apologizing. They try to rile him up and get him to fight Alan. Megath immediately silences them so they don't provoke Alan further. Charlotte is confused by what is unfolding. Iruka comes out of the crowd to join her. She explains that her dad is the chairperson of the biggest magical academy that Alan attended. She tells Charlotte Alan graduated from the academy at the age of 12, making him the youngest in its history. She tells Charlotte the academy employed Alan as a teacher right after he graduated because he was a prodigy. Megath continues to apologize to Alan, calling him the Great Demon Lord. Charlotte asks Iruka about the name and she tells her it was Alan's nickname when he was a teacher. Alan tells Megath that no one has called him by his nickname in a while. He asks Megath to raise his head since he didn't cause any trouble. Megath thinks he's been forgiven, but Alan tells him with a sinister smile that he did cause trouble for someone else. Megath is shivering now. Alan tries to explain who Charlotte is and their relationship, but he can't come up with the right words. Alan thinks about it for a second and comes to the conclusion that she's just a woman who is precious to him. He tells Megath that silently. The next day, Mayacha and Iruka pay Alan a visit to his house in the forest. They come to find him sitting gloomily on the front steps. They are surprised to find him in this condition. They try to question themselves, trying to discern why Alan is looking as he does. Since they can't come up with anything, they decide to ask Alan what's wrong. Alan tells them he didn't know they'd gotten so close to each other. Iruka has a eureka moment. She tells Alan the reason he's gloomy is because he had issues with Charlotte. Alan asks her how she was able to get what happened. Iruka tells him it's a no-brainer because nothing else could bother him like that. She asks him if they had a fight. Alan tells her it wasn't that simple. He recalled the events of the previous night. He and Charlotte were sitting at the tea table, having some tea. Alan proposes getting Charlotte some wages for her work. Charlotte tells him she can't accept that. He explains to her that she's been with him for months doing chores, and it's only right she gets paid. Charlotte tells him she doesn't feel useful enough to be paid. Alan explains to her that she does more than just clean the house, and she deserves compensation for her work. She asks Alan if he's sure of his decision. He tells her he's certain, and she finally accepts her pay. She thanks him for the pay. Alan tells her she shouldn't save it but use it to get whatever she would like. Charlotte tells him she doesn't have anything special. After thinking for a bit, she comes up with something. Alan is eager for her to tell them. She tells him she would like to go to town alone. Back to the present, Alan is regretting his decision to let her go alone. Alan asks Mayucha and Iruka for advice, but they're caught in their own conversation. Alan tells them to listen to him, and he finally gets their attention. Iruka tells him she doesn't expect such behavior from Charlotte. Alan tells her she immediately took back her request, but he encouraged her to go ahead. Back recalling the events of the previous night, he tells her he can make her wish happen with his magic. She thanked him for accepting. Iruka is surprised he actually accepted her request. Alan tells her he had no choice after hearing Charlotte pleading. Mayucha tells him he chose a difficult path. Alan tells them he's concerned for her welfare. They tell him his situation can easily be rectified. Now we can see Charlotte in town alone. She is disguised so no one can recognize her. She can't believe she's actually in town alone. Suddenly, Alan, Mayucha, and Iruka peek out of an alleyway. Alan is shocked they could easily tail Charlotte. Iruka tells him she's surprised he isn't the one who suggested they do. At that point, Charlotte brings out a map from her purse. She decides to go to a specific location. Alan is proud of her for using the map to find her way just like he taught her. Charlotte walks away and they heave a sigh of relief that they weren't found out. Iruka asks Alan why Charlotte decided to go to town alone. Alan tells her she wants to get something to buy. Mayucha asks him if he knows what she wants to buy. Alan tells her Charlotte told him it's a secret. Mayucha and Iruka are shocked Charlotte didn't tell him. Alan is happy she is now becoming her own person by keeping something secret. Iruka and Mayucha are worried that Alan is getting creepy. Charlotte walks around, not sure of where to go. Alan tells Iruka that Charlotte doesn't seem to know where she's going. Iruka agrees, saying she looks lost. Alan tells her that could be a problem. Charlotte looks at the map and looks around. She is not sure of her direction, but she starts moving regardless. Mayucha tells Alan his assessment may be correct and Charlotte could be in danger. Alan asks her what she means. She tells him judging by the direction Charlotte is going, she could end up in the Mirrored District. The Mirrored District is a dangerous district controlled by a gang called Serpent Fang. The leader of the gang is named Grow, the Viper Charmer. Alan is alarmed by this. Iruka asks him what they can do. She suggests she can bump into her and act as though it was an accident. Alan tells her not to bother. He tells her since it's Charlotte's first adventure, they shouldn't butt in. Alan announces he has something to take care of. He leaves Mayucha and Iruka to take care of Charlotte and runs off. They tell him goodbye. They keep an eye on Charlotte, wondering what she's looking for. They notice she was approaching an unsafe area. Mayucha wonders what map she's looking at. Charlotte arrived at crossroads. Mayucha was scared of her taking the path to the left. Charlotte looked at her map and took that exact path. Iruka wonders where Alan went. Charlotte looks around and can't discern where she is. Suddenly, several men approach her. Mayucha and Iruka are scared for Charlotte. Charlotte is now completely surrounded by the Mirrored gang members. Mayucha and Iruka want to rush to Charlotte's aid, but they stop immediately when the gang welcomes her. They throw a pseudo-welcome party, and Grow introduces himself to Charlotte. All the gang members welcome her and Charlotte is surprised by this. Mayucha and Iruka can't make out what's going on. A potion to heal their wounds. They are all moved to tears, and they bow to thank her for her kind gesture. Because of her kindness, they all vow to change their ways and live honest lives. Charlotte tells them they thanked them enough. Alan praises Charlotte for earning the trust of the gang members. Grow asks her about her relationship with the Demon Lord. She asks him if they know Alan. They almost tell Charlotte what Alan did to them, but their leader stops them in time. Alan was ready to swing into action if they leaked the secret. Iruka tells him they were really threatened. He tells her he showed them his magic. Charlotte begins answering Grow's question with Alan looking at her from an alleyway in anticipation. She tells Grow how Alan took her in since she didn't have a home, so she concludes that he's her master. Alan is disappointed by her description of him. The gang members think she was threatened with submission. Grow thinks their relationship doesn't seem right. Alan is angry by their words, but he understands their point of view. He thinks she's too kind and modest for someone like him who's known as the Demon King. Charlotte assures the gang members that Alan is a misunderstood gentleman. The gang members can't believe their ears. Charlotte tells them Alan also teaches her naughty things, but they get the wrong idea. Iruka and Mayucha are disappointed with her poor description, and Alan tells them he'll address it. Charlotte thanks the gang members for their time and takes her leave. Alan is grateful she wasn't harmed. Mayucha brings it to his attention that Charlotte is heading further into the dangerous district. Iruka tells him there are more dangerous squads in that area. With a coy smile on his face, Alan tells them there's nothing to worry about. Iruka hopes he won't be going ahead to pull that same stunt again. He tells her all he has to do is take control of the whole area. Iruka thinks he made a dumb decision. Alan goes through the district taking down different squads. Iruka and Mayucha do the same. They walk through the district easily and eventually their brutality ends. They defeat all the gangs to ensure there's no threat to Charlotte. Iruka asks Alan if there's any need to watch over Charlotte now that they cleared out the district. Alan tells her she's on the right thought process, but he doesn't agree with her. She tells him Charlotte probably doesn't want him to know what she wants to buy. Alan is a bit hesitant regardless. Mayucha offers to watch over Charlotte alone. She tells Alan and Iruka to wait until Charlotte completes her shopping. Iruka thanks her. Alan and Iruka sit at a table, having some tea. Iruka asks him a question, but his mind is somewhere else. At that moment, Mayucha returns and tells them Charlotte has completed her shopping without a hitch. Alan commends her. He asks her if Charlotte will be alright since she's no longer watching over her. Mayucha tells him Charlotte came across one of her acquaintances, and she's safe with her. She tells him Charlotte and her friend will be coming towards them soon. Alan tries to ask her about what Charlotte bought secretly. Mayucha tells him she didn't want to see what she bought because she felt it would be rude. Iruka notices Charlotte and beacons her over. Charlotte is happy to see them all. She rushes over to them and they exchange pleasantries. The jewelry shop owner was the acquaintance escorting Charlotte. She commends Alan. Alan doesn't understand what she means. Charlotte tells him everyone in town was talking about him. She tells him he made them feel safe. He asks her how he did that. She tells him that he cleared out the gang members from the district. Iruka teases him for helping people without meaning to. The store owner thanks him on behalf of the townsfolk. Alan thinks life is strange because he gets thanks from other people for something he did just for Charlotte. He accepts her thanks modestly. She tells Alan he's a rare catch and commends Charlotte for taking him as her boyfriend. They are both embarrassed. Alan explains to the woman that they are not in a relationship. She wishes them good luck and walks away. Charlotte thanks her for accompanying her. Alan asks her how her shopping went. She tells him it went well. She produces what she bought and both Mayucha and Iruka recognize them as goods from a new shop. She presents it to them as their present and they are really happy. They are surprised Charlotte came all the way to town to get them a gift with her first paycheck. Charlotte tells them she's showing gratitude to them for being kind to her. They are both happy with the gifts. Alan is feeling left out and asks her if she has something for him. She tells Alan she couldn't find anything he would like. Alan tells her he would have loved any gift that came from her. She apologizes for not thinking things through. Alan tells her he didn't mean to blame her. She tells him she's always been on the receiving end of kindness and that she doesn't even know what he likes. She notices a part of his robes that's flayed and offers to mend it for a start. She tells him while she's at it, he should tell her everything he likes so she can get him a present next time. Alan agrees. He observes a weird feeling in his heart and vows to cherish every moment with Charlotte. Alan reveals that the Yunoha city is relatively close to where he lives. He is living in a mansion of his with Charlotte, and this city of Yunoha is very famous. He likes going here once in a while, and that is why he decided to take Charlotte there. They are in a carriage when we see two people on a horse following them. They have been getting followed for a time now, and they do not have a single idea who it is. Who the hell can follow them at this hour? They are doing nothing wrong, I think. Charlotte loves this weather and is happy to no end. She feels like today's weather is the best, and she cannot help but feel very happy. Alan shares her enthusiasm and tells her that today's weather is the perfect weather for a trip and roaming around beautiful places anyways. The day before, we see Charlotte and Alan in his mansion, both reading books. Reading books is Alan's hobby and he loves this thing. He also picks up a book for Charlotte so she can read a great book as well. Charlotte finishes up her book and comes to Alan to talk about it. She comes in with a happy face, telling Alan how great the book was that he picked up for her. She loved the ending and also learned a lot of new things from it. She loves that Alan is making sure she learns new things every day as that is going to make her a good and reliable person. Alan asks about the book and tells her that the way she is delving into the book is very impressive. The way today's society is working and the way everyone is very busy. If you find time to read a good book, then it makes you a better person. It shows how great you are and you have big things to achieve. Charlotte loves the way he talks about these things. The thing she loved is that there were a lot of things about Alan's hometown in the book. Iruka and some things about the Athenka Magical Academy. She cannot believe that the academy is that big and there even is something like this. She had never heard of a school this big, and the way they teach things is incredible to her. Alan shares some fun facts about the academy and lets her know that this academy has a very big population. He knows that if you count up the faculties, students, and staff members, the academy has a population of a small island, and that is no joke. That is a hell of a big school that can compete with a small island. Suddenly, Alan asks Charlotte if there are some more places that she wants to visit while she is at it. Charlotte does want to visit a lot of places, but she is nervous to ask Alan about it. She feels like she has already asked a lot of things from him, and she cannot. She takes the book and starts looking through it to find a place she wants to visit, but she asks Alan what would happen if she picks one place. Alan is happy that she is this caring about him, but tells her that the places she will be picking are going to be the next destination for them. They are going to go on a trip, and the place she picks is the one they are headed to. This makes her even more nervous as she cannot do this to him. She lets him know that she is very happy that he is helping her with a lot of things and that he always looks out for her. But she is indebted to him already and cannot ask for more even if she wants to. This is nothing to Alan, as he knows all of this makes her very happy and that she wants to go on a trip. Again, Charlotte tells him that she is happy enough to be with him in this mansion, and another thing is that she is already learning a lot of naughty things from him. If she keeps on doing these naughty things, that is going to make her a naughty girl, and that is not what she wants. Why do they have to use the word naughty this much? Can't they just say the things she likes or something like that? Anyways, Alan thinks to himself that he knows that she is not lying, but he also knows that going on these trips makes her a lot of happy, and that he cannot let her do this to herself. He goes on to tell her that he finds nothing bad, and he is going to make sure that she is happy all the time. She wants to go on a trip, so he will take her on a trip. And if he is not able to make her happy, he is going to be regretting it a lot. He is going to put a death curse on himself if she does not tell him the place she wants to go. This freaks her out, as she does not want him to hurt himself like that. Alan picks her face by the chin and gently asks her the place she wants to go. The thing that surprises him is that girls are usually very picky about these things and pack up all day for a trip, but she is not like that. Again, Charlotte lets him know that living with him is enough for her, and she is happy with just this. He tells her that they go on a trip and enjoy different things like local cuisine, sightseeing, and a lot of other things. He also talks about enjoying a hot spring, and that makes Charlotte very happy. He knows she likes hot springs now. Miacha barges in the room suddenly, and she has something for them with her. She has a present for them. Alan and Charlotte are confused about what it is, so she explains. It is a trip to Unoha City, and it is all paid for. So the next day we are right where we left off. We see Alan and Charlotte in the carriage, and they are enjoying the nice view from the carriage. Charlotte loves it a lot, so Alan asks about it. She tells him that she has been in the nearest kingdom for so long, and there are so many mountains there, so the view of the plains is very nice for her. She adds that when she left the place and was escaping it, she once got in a carriage to hide but did not get to enjoy the view like now, so she loves it. Telling all this makes Charlotte sad, and Alan does not want this at all. He has to change the topic now. Charlotte asks if he is finding her not a good trip companion or if she wants to bring Iruka with him. He lets her know that she is a fine companion to have, and also, Iruka is out of town for some errands. Also, we get to know that Alan has put her up for the investigation of something in the nearest kingdom. Here he thinks that Iruka is in the nearest kingdom, and we see her with Meicha following them. They are the two people who have been following them for so long. The reason they are following them is that they planned all of these things out. The hot spring and the whole trip. They want to know how much Alan and Charlotte will grow in their relationship here alone. Miacha and Iruka are very excited that the plan is going according to them for now. Miacha did take a paid leave from work to be here, so she is doubly excited as this is very important for her. Back in the carriage, we see that Alan gets chills suddenly, and Charlotte gets scared for a bit there. She asks about it, but Alan drops it like a fly. By the way, Alan tells Charlotte that they might be seeing the place they are going to be staying at. She takes a look and falls in love with the place. She excitedly tells Alan that it is also written in the book about the place. It is a hotel that is the most famous in the city, and 3-star hotels, and this and that. Alan is also looking forward to this trip, as Unoha City is one of the best places for a tour. He asks if this is the hotel she is most looking forward to. Charlotte nods, saying yes, but Alan knows she is lying. He confronts her and wants her to tell her the real place she is most looking forward to. Charlotte is surprised to see how he knew that she was lying. Anyone could have seen through her lie. Alan starts going through the book asking different places if they are something she is looking forward to. Charlotte does not want her to guess, and she also does not want her to know, as she thinks it is kind of a childish place to go for an adult. She feels like it is very embarrassing for her to tell him about the place she would love to go to. Alan understands this and tells her that no place is going to make her embarrassed. He believes that it is a good thing to visit places as an adult you could not as a child. Saying this, he lets Charlotte know that she can tell him whenever she feels like it because he will always understand her feelings. This makes her very happy, and she is looking forward to telling him. They reach the resort, and going in, they are greeted by, "I want to try it someday as well." Alan and Charlotte are looking forward to it now, but Mermaid blows them away with a piece of additional information. She asks them if they have brought their swimsuits with them. Swimsuits are not something Alan and Charlotte are ready for, so he asks about it. Mermaid tells them that they would need it as this is a men's and women's bath. It is not separate, and for that, they would need a swimsuit. Charlotte once again is blown away and can barely stand hearing the word "not separate." Mermaid picks up Charlotte and tells her that she is going to take her to a rental swimsuit place where she can pick one up for herself. She takes her while Alan just stands and looks. After a little while, Alan is waiting for Charlotte to show up, but he is freaking out. He was not ready for this same men's and women's bath, and is now preparing himself to see Charlotte in a swimsuit. He knows that Mermaid told her about the place and that there are not a lot of people here right now, but still, there are a lot. He feels like if he cannot handle Charlotte, he is going to stop his heart and will keep stopping it till he needs it. Charlotte shows up, and Alan prepares himself to look at her. He turns to look and is stuck in place. He didn't need to stop his heart, and it has already stopped. Charlotte looks phenomenal, and he cannot take his eyes off her. Looking at her reaction, Charlotte feels like he didn't like her swimsuit, but Alan lets her know that she looks pretty beautiful, and there is nothing wrong with her. Iruka and Maecha are laughing seeing Alan's reaction to Charlotte. Charlotte also compliments Alan's swimsuit. He is just in his undies. Alan is ready to enjoy this place with her and tells her to follow his lead. They swim, take slides, and play around. They play table tennis, and Charlotte blows his mind away with her skills. They finally go into the hot spring and enjoy its warmth. Charlotte loves this feeling, and Alan makes it double by ordering some ice cream to enjoy it in the hot spring. He feels like this is the best of the naughty things you can do, and saying this, he puts a spell on the ice cream so it does not melt. Charlotte takes a bite and is in love with the feeling. Seeing her eat the ice cream, everyone in the hot spring starts ordering ice cream, and Mermaid starts freaking out because of all the orders she is getting. A dad with his son comes to Alan to ask if he can also put his spell on his son's ice cream. Alan is in a good mood and puts the spell on. In fact, he puts the spell on all of the ice creams. After that, they are going to enjoy the cuisine, and Mermaid comes to thank Alan for what he has done. He has put the spell on all of the ice cream containers, and because of that, the ice cream sales tripled today. He wants her to not mention it and rather asks her if she knows any places around to visit. She tells him about the mountain where they can see several fenrirers, but the mountain is closed for now. Alan tells Charlotte that seeing the fenrir directly makes the luck good, but they are unlucky that they cannot see one. After the cuisine, they go to the room, and it is decorated for a couple's room. Alan and Charlotte again freak out while Iruka and Makia are in the room right next to them, hearing everything. They are not backing up for making sure these two get lovey-dovey. Anyways, Alan and Charlotte try to sleep, but they cannot. Alan puts a spell so Charlotte can go to sleep and have the dream she wants with the help of the rare item that is on their bed. After she gets to sleep, Alan puts a spell that makes him sleep as well, and it also affects Machia and Iruka in the next room. The next day, they wake up and Charlotte excitedly tells Alan that she met her mother and talked to her a lot. Meanwhile, Mermaid goes to check on Iruka and Machia, and they are still sleeping. Alan and Charlotte are standing outside the Unoha Magical Zoo. This is the place Charlotte always wanted to visit, but never got the time or permission to come here. A magical zoo. That is going to be interesting, I guess. Charlotte is with Alan and cannot believe that her wish is going to be fulfilled by coming here and witnessing the peaceful paradise they have in there. Alan knew for some reason that she liked this place, so he gave her a surprise and brought her here. Charlotte has no clue how he knew her wish, but she sure is grateful to have a companion like Alan. They go to the zoo and we see every kind of animal and bird there. They are not the regular creatures we expected, but creatures like phoenix and dragons and many more. Going inside, Charlotte is so excited, but also at the same time, very nervous. This is the place she always wanted to visit, and now she is here finally. She shares with Alan that she is surprised that he can see through everything and knows about her wish. Anyways, something is wrong and Charlotte has to say something to Alan. Alan has a map of the zoo and Charlotte hesitantly points out something in the map. She has a selfish request to ask from Alan, and that is that she does not want to be in this area of the zoo. She always wanted to be in the petting area of the zoo. She loves that place and has always wanted to pet some cute animals there. She has seen almost all kinds of magical beasts there, and each and every one of them makes Charlotte feel very happy. She is dying to be there and she wants Alan to go with her as well. Charlotte is not speaking that openly, so Alan uses some kind of a spell to make her ask everything honestly. Now he knows and tells Charlotte that she will get anything she wants from this place. Alan lets her know that if she has anything that she would like to buy, she can come to him without any hesitation. She has something actually that she wants to buy, but once again, she cannot say it that easily. So Alan uses his spell once again and she asks Alan to buy her those cute animal headbands they are selling in the stalls. This is another one of her wishes and she wants Alan to wear it with her. Now you know what happens when you let a girl get carried away. Alan at first hesitates and Charlotte notices it. She wants him to know that she knows that this is very childish, and if he does not want to, he should not do it. But Alan would not let her do this alone, so he buys two. One for her and one for himself. He wears it and he looks pretty funny, but not bad. Our mage is now her petting companion and it looks great. We see some magical wild beasts above a mountain. The leader tells the rest of them that the day to finally battle is here and everyone should be ready. We are back in the zoo and Alan and Charlotte go to the petting area. Alan loves the environment of this place. He finds it very peaceful and pleasing with all the cute magical animals, but something strikes him completely out of nowhere and is the poster in the area. The poster is about the hell capybaras. He knows about these creatures and how wild they can be. These magical beasts are so wild that they can eat a mountain if they want, and this kind of concerns him a bit. He knows the safety of the zoo. He knows they have good management here, but still, this animal is no joke. Hearing him impresses the workers there. She is amazed that Alan knows what he is talking about, but she assures him about these animals. She tells him that they are currently sleeping deep in the forest, and there is nothing to be afraid of right now. This relieves him, and he likes to tell Charlotte about them, but he turns to look at her, and she is shaking for some reason. He comes up and asks her about it when she shares her feelings. She cannot comprehend the cuteness of these animals, and she feels like this is the best thing that has ever happened to her. The thing is, she feels that she has no more regrets left in life, as she did the most important thing she ever wanted to do. Alan motivates her to be strong and do what she came here to do. Charlotte picks herself up and is motivated about petting the animals now. She feels like she is going to pet these fluffy animals with all her love and care. What Alan does not understand is what is so cute about these animals. He cannot believe someone would like them so much that they end up shaking just by looking at them. Same, I cannot believe people get so upset when you talk a little bad about cats and dogs, but no one cares if that is a human. Alan has to make sure that the animals respond to Charlotte well, and for that, he goes to a pack of some cute bunny-type magical animals. He starts speaking their language and it shocks the whole group. They had no idea that a normal-looking person could speak their language. Alan shares that he is a mage and has some knowledge about different languages. The reason he is here is that he is going to bribe these animals so they can be good with Charlotte whenever she comes here. He tells them that he will be buying them whatever kind of feed they want if they just let the companion with him pet them and play with her. They are happy like never and are on board right away. So the bribery is completed, and now he has to call Charlotte to make sure she pets them correctly. He turns to call her and sees that Charlotte is already surrounded by every kind of animal and all of them are playing with her without any bribery. She is just too caring and loving. This shocks Alan, and the pack of bunnies he just bribed also runs to her. Well, that was expected of her. Who can ignore the caring and protective side of that beautiful and cute Charlotte? Alan is surprised and has never seen these creatures act this way before. He feels like Charlotte is some sort of a tamer for these magical beasts, and that makes sense for him as he already saw a lot of examples of her capabilities. When he found her unconscious, she was alone, but the magical beasts were protecting her and playing with her. She also has the same effects on humans for some reason. Alan has heard about these magical creature tamers, but the effect she had on humans was never seen before. How can someone be respected by humans just for existing in their area? Those humans can be after something else entirely, but who am I to say anything? Anyways, after all the petting, they are sitting outside the petting area where Alan asks if she had fun today. Charlotte's happiness has no end and she cannot believe that she just petted all these different animals. We see suddenly, the animals from the petting area come to their side of the fence and start cheering for Charlotte. But Alan knows what they are saying to him right now. They are making sure Alan does not behave badly with her or else they are going to eat him alive and things like that. Well, that is a scary thing to hear from animals like those. Alan gets up and has something to tell Charlotte. He explains that there are some magical skills that exist in the world that cannot be mastered without practice. These magical skills are because of innate capabilities and are something to be proud of if you can master them. That is why Alan is a very good mage and has almost a grip on every magic you throw at him. So that way he feels like Charlotte has the capability to tame the magical beasts and creatures. He feels like this ability is in her from a very young age, and that is why she has the effect on the effects which she can clearly see. This surprises Charlotte, and she feels like she is blessed to have it. Alan adds that she has a total grip on it as he himself cannot speak all the languages of these animals, but can only talk to the low-ranking animals. This makes her very happy. Suddenly, the worker from the petting area comes running to them. She grabs Alan's hand and tells him that he has to help them with something that has happened in the zoo. Alan has no idea what she is talking about but knows that something is wrong. They are considered by them as the magical beasts tamers, and that is what everyone calls them when they go to the zoo. Going in, they are welcomed by the whole staff, and the director of the zoo comes out to meet them. The worker lady introduces them as the magical beast tamer, but the director finds them too young to be excellent at that. But his mind changes right away when he notices that Alan is the son of the Crawfords. He knows him because they met at the open lecture in the Athanka Magical Academy a long time ago. Getting to know that Alan is the son of the Crawfords reassures everyone that the problem is going to be solved in no time. But no one is telling them what the problem is. The director feels like he should take them inside and show them what the issue is. Going into a room, they see a Fenrir caged up. They have captured a Fenrir and it is injured by the poachers. We get to know that Fenrirs are endangered species and are illegal to kill, but that does not stop some poachers. That is because their bones and skin are of great use for the magical pieces of equipment. We see that Fenrir is very mad and is planning on killing anyone that comes close to him. The director tells Alan that they have no one on the staff who can talk to Fenrir and tame him, so they need his help. Alan comes close to Fenrir and tries to talk to him. But he does not listen and tries to grab Alan, so Alan backs up. Charlotte sees this and feels very bad about it. Fenrir is also bleeding from one side, so that is no good either. The director feels like they cannot open up this animal in their zoo because might kill everyone there. They are figuring out a way to help and tame this magical beast when the lady worker from before comes running again and has terrible news to tell them. She tells them that the mother of this Fenrir is coming right their way, and they have no idea how to defend themselves. This is very bad for them as they still have not persuaded the cub Fenrir to be healed. The cub is not letting them go anywhere near her, so they cannot heal her like this. Alan does not have anything else to do other than fight the mother Fenrir. We know that Fenrirs are not only famous for their rarity, but also for their immense power. A mother Fenrir can destroy a city like a slice of pie, and that is not good for them. So Alan decides to go and handle the mother on his own. The staff and the director get shocked hearing this, but there is nothing to be worried about as this is the specialty of Alan. He wants the staff to evacuate the guests in the Unoha resort so there is no collateral damage. The staff is on and they leave to make sure every guest gets out safely. Charlotte comes to Alan and tells him that he told her about her magical powers and she has to use them right here, right now. Alan is not allowing her to do this. She wants to talk to the cub Fenrir so they can heal her, but Alan thinks it is too risky. The director also thinks that is not good as Fenrirs are not gentle creatures. The worker lady comes up again and vouches for her, saying that she had tamed every animal in the petting area before, so she might be able to do it. Charlotte asks for permission when Alan thinks about it. He does not want her to get hurt, but something about her is completely changed. When he found her, she was like a doll and was always scared, but now she is ready to fight for someone else. Alan lets her do what she wants and Charlotte gets very happy. Alan knows that these two have worked together before, but they have never fought alongside before, so this is very exciting for him. Charlotte leaves to talk to the cub Fenrir while Alan goes to handle the mother. We see Iruka and Mekia enjoying themselves in the Unoha resort when the announcer tells everyone to evacuate the place. This makes them mad as they feel like they never get the chance to rest and have fun. Suddenly, Alan shows up behind them, and that shocks both of them. He knows that these two have been following him, but this turned out perfectly for the situation he is in. We see a pack of cub fenrirers running toward the Unoha resort, and Hell Capybara is watching from above. Alan shows up there and builds a shield around the resort first to make sure that the resort is safe from everything. He knows he cannot let the fenrir mother close to the cub they have, as she might not act good seeing her child injured like that. So he has to fight her here and now. Before that, he makes sure that the cubs running toward the resort are not anymore, so he uses ice magic to freeze them in their place for a while. The mother fenrir appears out of the ground and is mad as hell. She attacks Alan and has him in her mouth, but Alan uses the paralyze attack to get out of there in time. He uses the shield magic in time, so he is not that hurt for now. He is fighting the mother when the Hell Capybara shows up behind him. She tells him that he does not have to fight the mother if he just gives them what they want. Alan is confused as to why this wild beast is talking to him. Her name is Gosetsu, and he wants the lady companion with him to come to them. Alan is again very confused when Gosetsu explains everything. She tells Alan that he got away from the zoo when he was little and came to meet Charlotte in the forest. But the thing that makes her furious is that she is about to be with Charlotte when Alan comes to take her away. She found out that Charlotte was being deemed an evil person, but she knew Charlotte could never be that. So she always looked out for her and always wanted to be by her side. Alan mocks Gosetsu, saying that she is just jealous of her and nothing else. This makes her even more mad, so she attacks Alan. He barely dodges the attack and is impressed by the power, as is expected of a Hell Capybara. She wants Alan to give Charlotte back to her, but Alan is not going to do this easily. These two get to fighting, but Gosetsu wants Alan to pay for what he has done. She thinks Alan is leading Charlotte into a bad path, and that should be punished. Gosetsu makes the cub fenrirers free from the ice and tells Alan that she has told these fenrirers that he is the one that took Charlotte away and the cub as well. Now Alan has to fight this Hell Capybara and all these fenrirers, and he knows he is not going to come out alive if he goes in alone. But suddenly, the dragon and the phoenix from the zoo show up. Behind them, Charlotte is also coming up with all the animals from the zoo and the cub as well. The cub is healed because Charlotte was able to convince him. Alan is amazed seeing that Charlotte can speak their language so easily when he mastered half of it in only a year. Well, someone is jealous, I see. He asks what the fenrir is talking about with his mother. She hears that the mother thinks of Alan as the poacher who injured her son, and the one who told her the lie is Gosetsu. Now Gosetsu is alone and is very arrogant. She is planning on taking Charlotte back by force, but Alan is not going to allow it. He charges in and punches away Gosetsu. Gosetsu is on the ground and actually gets up to compliment Alan's punch. She feels like she should not get in between these hearty affairs. Alan has no idea what she means by this until he notices the cat ears on his head. Everything is fine now, and the fenrirers are happy with Alan. Mermaid is amazed knowing that Alan and Charlotte took care of the fenrirers and helped the cub to get better. Charlotte gets the credit here, but she feels like she did nothing except talk to the cub. Alan reminds her that it was the talking that made everything so easy, otherwise it would have gone a different and dangerous path. Meicha and Iruka show up with the poachers that injured the fenrir, and the fenrirers show up as well with their mother. Alan lets the fenrir enjoy these poachers, and so these poachers don't get blended. He gives them a little layer of his protection so the fenrirers can use them as toys without killing them. We see Charlotte telling Alan that one of her dogs wants to come with them too. Alan asks the dog's mother if she is willing to let her puppy go. She has no problem with it, and the baby won't miss its family either, so it'll be all fine. Then the woman standing beside confirms that Charlotte is from the girl region. She tells Charlotte that her fenrir can come back there in under an hour. The girl looks at her wolf, and Alan is excited to bring it to his house. He says that it will be a little homestay and asks Farrer to be good to Charlotte. The pup responds happily, and Charlotte blushes. She is worried that the dog will be tagging along now too, but Alan tells her that it won't be a problem. He says that his mansion is huge and they can take the dog on long walks. Besides, the bigger the family, the better it is. Charlotte blushes even harder at that statement and asks if Alan thinks of her as a family. The boy holds both of her hands and says that it is obvious that she is. Charlotte turns completely red, and Alan gets worried, thinking he had something wrong. Meanwhile, his sisters are impressed by how bold yet dumb their brother is. The caravan is now on its way, and there is a huge animal that wants to go along with them. Alan is getting really bothered by it, and Charlotte doesn't know who it was either. The capybara tells her that he wants to be her bodyguard, and when Charlotte asks him who he is, he says that he's her family and he loves her a lot. Alan is having none of it and tells the capybara to go back to the zoo. The woman from earlier bids them a warm goodbye. All three of them have arrived at Alan's place, and as soon as they return, Charlotte takes Lou on a walk. When Alan tells Lou that he wants him to protect Charlotte, Lou rolls his eyes off. The dog has a favorite already. Lou follows Charlotte and Alan looks heartbroken. Lou is a Fenrir who became a part of Alan's family when they returned from their trip to the Unoha region. Gosetsu comes in and says that Lou has taken Charlotte away from him, and he will have less time to do naughty things with the lady. Alan asks him how long he is going to be there. Gosetsu says that he should stay there as Charlotte's family. Alan doesn't agree to that, and Gosetsu kind of brings up how Alan is in love with the lady. Alan turns red and says that he loves her as family only. The capybara smirks and Alan walks up to the window thinking of what Gosetsu said earlier. He's actually kind of upset that he won't have enough time to be with Charlotte anymore. Charlotte is playing with Lou outside and waves at Alan. Alan is relieved that Charlotte has a goal of becoming a magical creature tamer now and waves back. Alan was telling Charlotte the story of the Unoha region trip, and the girl is willing to learn everything about becoming a tamer. Alan is surprised by the positive change as Charlotte would sit there to count wooden grains on the floor when she was new. Alan tells her that he will teach her everything including the basics about that. Charlotte genuinely thanks him and Alan started to teach him diligently right after. Charlotte was loving the process too and Alan compliments her enthusiasm. The girl would spend most of her time reviewing and previewing what she learned and what she will learn the next day. She is a smart one with the will to do her real best. Alan is really happy to see this new side of Charlotte. Lady Charlotte is finally bringing her studies to action and Alan gives her the cue to tame Lou. She gets ready and uses her magic to control Lou. Alan and Gosetsu watch carefully and Charlotte finally tells Lou to do his thing. He clears all the things that were placed in the ground and gracefully jumps above the lady to sit in obedience. Charlotte hugs Lou for the great job he did, and Alan tells her that she's mastered the skill already. No one had communicated with Fenrir the way Charlotte is, and Alan emphasizes that. Gosetsu is listening to Alan's speech and demands an explanation as to why he called Charlotte his beloved. Alan feels called out and tells him to shush his mush and go back to the zoo. Alan brings his hand forward to pet Lou, but the dog almost bites him. Charlotte tells Lou that biting people is bad and the dog gets a little sad. She later apologizes to Alan, who didn't mind it, as all that shows that Lou trusts her the most. Charlotte is humble with all the compliments, and Gosetsu thinks that the lady can have beast conversation with her skills. Charlotte then wonders if beast conversation is the type of magic tamers used to replace the language of the creatures with the one humans speak. She is right, and Alan says that she has studied everything thoroughly. She mentions the book she had read, and that reminds her how Gosetsu communicates with them in human language. That puts Alan into thinking too, and as he tries to guess the reason, Gosetsu spits that he's self-taught. He tells the two that all those years spent with humans enable him to learn their language himself. Everyone is shocked to hear that. Alan is worried that beast conversation wouldn't work that early on a Fenrir, but Charlotte is more than willing to give it a shot. The sparkles are all around her head and Alan is in love. He smiles and allows her to try it out with Lou. She gets ready again and uses the magic beast conversation that scatters a bright purple light all around. Charlotte almost loses her breath and asks Lou to try and say something. Lou wags his tail and Charlotte looks defeated. Alan tries to comfort, saying it's okay if the spell doesn't work for her right now, and the boy was cut off by Lou in human language. It worked. Lou gets angry when Alan touches Charlotte and asks him why the heck is he touching his mom aggressively. Charlotte is really happy to hear Lou speak their language, and Lou is even happier to get to talk with his human. He wags his tail aggressively and shows his excitedness by jumping and running around. Charlotte follows him and Gosetsu walks up to Alan, saying he knew Charlotte was special. Alan says that she is his beloved student and the girl was having the time of her life playing with Lou. Lou looks at Alan like he will kill him right there, and the man gets scared. Gosetsu says it is obvious that the fairer boy hates Alan and he doesn't want to believe that. Then we see Alan creating a bathing area especially for Lou. He made one for Lou to celebrate him using the human language. Charlotte thanks Alan for his kindness and turns to Lou to ask him to thank Alan for the gift as well. Alan is waiting for his response, and Lou says thank you in a very low voice. Charlotte asks him to say it a little louder, but Alan is fine with it. He then points at the bathtub and tells Lou to play in it now. Well, the bath was occupied by Gosetsu already. Alan screams at him to get the hell out of the water, but Gosetsu says that he's family just like Fenrir and his lady. Alan argues, saying that that applies to humans and wolves only. Gosetsu finds that a little racist, and Alan stands there with a defeated face while Charlotte enjoys the cute fight. Lou is ready to dive in too, and he jumps in, making the water splatter around Lady Charlotte. She is smiling and looks so gorgeous, trying to avoid the droplets, and Alan watches her with so much love. Capybara watches him gazing at Charlotte annoyingly and changes his physical appearance from an animal to a sexy-looking lady. He uses his Hell Forest Day-style secret technique, shimmering water, to turn into a human, as according to Alan, capybaras are not allowed to bathe in the specific area. His transformation shocks the three, and Gosetsu says that it was the perfect chance to try the gourmet food transformation technique, so he took it. He shows his body off and asks the three of them about it. The only thing Alan could think of was if the capybara dude was actually a girl. The question disappoints him, and then Lou and Charlotte play around with the water as Alan watches them. The sky is clear and the day is beautiful. Alan loves every bit of it and wants the time to stop for him. Thinking so was not like the usual him, and he then shifts his focus to Charlotte. The girl is enjoying herself, and he can't notice anything else other than the change in her. The playful side of Lady Charlotte makes Alan's heart dysfunctional, and he holds his chest, wondering if something is wrong in there. His face is blushing and heart is pounding, and Charlotte's giggles aren't making anything better. She notices Alan and asks him if something's wrong. He says that he's fine and tells her to get out of the water and throws a towel over her head. Charlotte agrees that he's right and asks the other two if they want to keep playing. They will be enjoying their bath for a little bit more, and Charlotte will get out of the tub first. She sits beside Alan on the bench and thanks him for everything he has done so far for the lady. He says that she's being too formal and he's just doing what he promised. He promised her that he would teach her all the naughty things, and he did just that. Alan says that he can convert her into a lazy river too, and Charlotte finds the idea to be really interesting. Alan mentions that the old owner of the mansion found the place to be too big and didn't know what to do with it. And that explains the vast garden left untouched there. Charlotte didn't know there was someone else who lived in the house before Alan, so she asked him about it. He tells her that he doesn't know the tenant, but it is said that the previous owner disappeared all of a sudden. Charlotte turns pale in fear, and Alan does his best to make it worse. He tells her that an old elf resided in the mansion 30 years ago. The elf was really isolated, they never socialized, and stayed inside at that one table like a possessed freak. But one day, they just disappeared in thin air without any further notice, and the rumors started to spread. Some people said that the elf committed suicide, while the other believed that they got eaten by the monster they created themselves. Another rumor says that their body was taken over by the mushrooms for committing a taboo, and Charlotte couldn't hear any more of those rumors. She was really scared and was sweating cold water. She starts to quiver, and Alan is still not done with his fake horror story. He finally notices her and thinks that he went too far, so he apologizes to her. But the story was not the reason she was scared. She was pointing at the bathtub that was full of mushrooms. Alan runs over to check up on Gosetsu, but he was doing just all right. He turns his back to the ground, and Alan is relieved to find him alive. Alan asks him about the mushrooms, but Gosetsu doesn't know how to explain the phenomenon either. Gosetsu says the most obvious thing, and Alan says that he can tell those were mushrooms. Then a woman in white hair pops up from the ground and screams at them for stealing her mushrooms. Charlotte thinks it was a ghost, and the rest just stare at her with a poker face. The woman invites Alan and Charlotte down to the ground and apologizes for scaring the crap out of them. She knew Alan and said that she was wrong about him earlier. When Alan expresses that he isn't acquainted with her, she introduces herself as Dorothea Grimm Wallenstein. Alan knows she's going to be a problem and observes her room. The condition of the room suggests that she's been living there for quite some time. He wonders why he couldn't feel her presence before. Charlotte sticks to Alan in fear and asks the woman if she's a ghost. Her chest is touching Alan's, and Nan's having a hard time being there. Charlotte's questions angers Dorothea, and she says should be asking her some questions instead. The ghost there is Alan, actually. Charlotte revives him, and he tells the woman that they live in the mansion above. Dorothea says that the mansion is hers, which confuses Alan. He asks the woman if she's the elf who disappeared 30 years ago, and the question scares the guts in her. It's evening now, and all of them are gathered around Dorothea, who's sitting near the bathtub. She's talking about how 30 years is a long time and how creatures like elf can exist. Gosetsu asks Alan if the woman herself could be a dark elf. Alan had the same thoughts, and both of them were right. Charlotte doesn't know what a dark elf is, so Alan explains to her that it is a unique, elite breed of elves. Capygara adds to the knowledge, saying that these elves can survive 100 years in air without food and water. Alan thinks to himself about the 3 unique species he has around. He wonders what made the elf hide for that long, and Dorothea is upset to know she's considered missing. That scares Alan, and he hesitatingly responds to her. Alan thinks that the lawsuit is going to be a pain in the back. He doesn't want to give up on the place because it is the best place to hide Charlotte and the rest of his buddies. He proposes a deal to Dorothea and asks if she'll be willing to sell the mansion to him. It didn't take her any minute to agree, and she allowed him to use the overground area freely. When Alan mentions money, Dorothea refuses to accept any. She just wants Alan to help her out of the predicament. Alan finds that to be more tiring, but Charlotte, being the kind-hearted lady she is, asks Alan to hear her out. Dorothea smiles at her, and Alan hesitates. Charlotte promises to help him, and the other two do too. Alan looks at their pleading eyes and gives in. He asks Dorothea what she wants him to do, and the elf couldn't be happier. She thanks all of them and says that only Alan and Lady Charlotte can help her out. Alan gets annoyed. It is nighttime now, and all of them are sitting in the living room, discussing the matter with Dorothea. Alan asks the elf how they can help her with the predicament thing. Before explaining her problem, she decides to tell them her lore. She says that she used to be an author, and she's written stories in various genres. She used to be famous in the writer's industry and considered herself to be a genius. But the only thing that made her believe otherwise was the lack of creativity for a romance novel. The slump was deep, and she couldn't finish the novel before the given deadline. So she hid herself under the ground to escape that deadline for 30 years. The whole thing sounded ridiculous to Alan, but Dorothea says that she did so because her editor was really scary. Gosetsu finds the story garbage, and Lou does too. Alan was about to declare that he won't be helping Dorothea, but the woman threatens him with the mansion. So he quickly changes his statement, and Dorothea is excited about being free from the years-long slump. She is really excited about it and is dancing around. She believes that Alan and Charlotte will make a great combo. The elf holds Charlotte's hands and says that she wants to make the world a better place with her stories. She's already loving the couple these two make, and Alan asks her what she needs them to do. Dorothea's sensor is going vile, and Alan is having none of it. The elf laughs evilly and says that she wants the two of them to act all lovey-dovey right then and there for her novel. Everyone screams in shock. Next we see Alan and Charlotte standing up on the terrace. Charlotte says her dialogue, "O Sir Crawford, wherefore art thou Sir Crawford?" Alan proceeds to say his dialogue and says that he will leave Crawford for today. Continually, he says that they should leave and live together. Charlotte agrees and jumps in Alan's arms from the terrace, and the scene cuts as the director screams at the top of her lungs. Dorothea, being the director, says that he can't just use the magic during the scene and act like she won't notice. Alan says that isn't the case, but it is a bit embarrassing holding the princess. The reply was expected to be that Dorothea yells that Alan is not 8 and he needs to stop his shyness. Later on, Dorothea scolds Alan and Charlotte, saying that it seems impossible for them to flirt on their own, so she prepares a script for them. Alan anxiously thinks that he should not have accepted the offer in the first place. He thinks about the time when Dorothea said that she wanted them to act lovey-dovey for her new novel. Dorothea interrupts his thoughts and says that she did not even make them kiss. Alan and Charlotte both exclaim upon hearing about the kiss, but Dorothea says to just follow the script and flirt with each other. I definitely would have taken the offer of flirting with the princess. She further says that Alan can have the mansion, and Dorothea gets inspiration for her new novel. This is a win-win situation. Alan thinks that it is for the mansion, so he has no choice left. With that, he gets up and says he is going to decline the offer. And he pretty much knows that Charlotte would have hated the idea too. Charlotte exclaims and stutters. Meanwhile, turning his face to the wall, Alan says that it is impossible to flirt with a guy for her, and that she doesn't mind it if it is with Alan. It seems like Alan was not expecting this answer at all, and out of shock, he bumps his head into the wall so hard that not only the wall breaks, but his head bleeds too. Charlotte, out of worry, asks Alan if he is okay, and even though he is bleeding, Alan says he is fine. But since Alan is bleeding, Charlotte shows her worry, and Gosetsu teases that they are already naturally flirting. It makes Dorothea really happy, and she says she needs more of it from them. She says she is likely to die of old age if she leaves it to their pace of flirting. Alan wonders while Charlotte wipes his blood off that it is dangerous to follow her ways of script in any way. But with no option, Alan has to do it for the mansion. Charlotte smiles and says to Alan, "Let's give our best." So now that Charlotte agrees, Alan has to brace himself. Alan says he agrees too, but he will have to reject anything that violates public order and morality. Dorothea says to bring it on, and Gostisu says that he will give a hand to the youngsters in love. Fenrir says that mommy is all hers and he won't give her a helping hand, though it does look fun to her. Exclaiming out of happiness, Dorothea says that it is settled and hands out scripts to Alan and Charlotte. All they have to do is act as if they are married. As soon as Alan opens the script, he reads that Charlotte and Alan are newlyweds and yells because he is shy. Dorothea sits on her director's chair and loudly says action while putting on her cap and glasses. But as the scene begins and Alan walks to his home in the act, Dorothea screams again to just act more natural and not so stiff. Alan apologizes and says that he gets nervous when he knows he is being watched. But Alan asks what even this getup she is dressed in is. Dorothea says he can't object to the setting she came up with, or else she will take her mansion back. Hearing that, Alan tells Dorothea not to do that, and he won't do it again next time. Dorothea then says to try it again. Well, the scene begins again, and this time, Alan acts more naturally, saying that he came home to his wife. Charlotte, acting like his wife, acts literally so adorable that he begins blushing and holds his heart. Then Charlotte flirts with him to see if he needs a piece of her, and his nose bleeds because of the nervousness, and he falls back. Dorothea yells, cuts the scene, and says, "What the heck is Alan doing?" She did not ask her to act even that naturally. Charlotte asks Alan if he is alright and apologizes for messing up and making him too nervous. Alan says it is not Charlotte's fault, but Dorothea's because she is making her say that dialogue. Being defensive, Dorothea says she did nothing wrong, but Alan tells her not to make Charlotte say such weird stuff. Dorothea agrees and says to try it all again, but Alan keeps thinking that if it weren't for the mansion, he would not be doing such stuff. The scene starts again, and Charlotte and Alan begin acting again. As an obedient wife, Charlotte brings Alan some stew and bunny-shaped carrots and serves him that. Alan thinks that, as expected of Charlotte, she is acting pretty naturally, and she can be the world's best actor too. Charlotte continues her dialogue and says to eat his meal while it is hot. Then Charlotte tells Alan to open his mouth wide so she can feed him and say "ah," and calls Alan by a nickname. Alan blushes so hard that he ends up spitting the food in his mouth, and Dorothea yells to cut the scene again. She sighs that it was literally going so well, while Charlotte asks Alan again if he is okay. Alan asks Dorothea what the heck is "ah" and calls Alan by a nickname. Dorothea says they are newlyweds, and that is how things are between newlyweds. Your 31-year-old ass living in your mom's basement won't know that. As a matter of fact, Dorothea gives Charlotte a nickname too, which Alan has to call Charlie. He jumps out of his seat. The dude is desperate for a mansion, so he is down to do anything. Though Alan thinks that Dorothea is having fun by toying with them and nothing more, so Dorothea says to give it another try, and next up is the school life situation. Alan sighs. Why are they not done with it already? But Dorothea wants other characters for this scene, so Gosetsu volunteers for it and turns himself into a hot mummy figure. Made my jaw drop literally. Dorothea says she did not know Gosetsu was a female figure, but says happily that she is perfect for the role. Fenrir says that she wants to participate, and Dorothea is happy, and the scene begins again. The scene starts as Alan walks, giving off an emotionally unavailable boy vibe, and is narrated as a lone wolf punk. His childhood friend gets kidnapped by some thugs, and now he is making his way to rescue her. He enters the enemy territory all alone and sees Charlotte being tied up in ropes, but acts happy to see him that he is saving her. Gosetsu and Fenrir act like they have kidnapped Charlotte and stand together, while Alan says to give Charlotte back at once. Gosetsu answers that if he wants her, he needs to put in some force and action to get her. Alan heroically says to bring it on, and Gosetsu says let's see what he has and begins attacking Alan with a chain. But Alan dodges it after the first attack and begins defending himself to save his childhood friend. Gosetsu says that the rumors were right, Alan has some backbone, and he offers to join their team. Alan gets angry, activates his magic skills, and yells that if they even lay a single finger on her, he will break them into pieces. With that, Alan punches Gosetsu and Fenrir with his power so hard that they both fall back, and they wonder if that was some incredible power he showed. Meanwhile, Alan goes to pick up Charlotte and asks if she is okay, and Charlotte apologizes, saying that it all happened because of her that he had to put up a fight. But she is so happy that he did it for her and says it in a flirty way that Alan begins blushing looking at her, and his cheeks turn all red. But he gets taken aback by his memories that it has happened before too. Charlotte gets up and says she is going to get a wet handkerchief, according to the script. Alan thinks that according to the script, he has to run behind her too, so he holds her hand and stops her. Here, he is supposed to do a keidan, then an agokui into a katazun. Just like us, Alan has no idea what the script meant and does not know what the words meant. He begins decoding, Cabe is the wall, so he has to put his hands up against the wall holding her in between. But as soon as he does that, Alan starts feeling something in his heart. He blushes looking at her, and his heart starts taking a leap. Her every gesture and move made his heart stir. Well, could it be because he has fallen in love with Charlotte? That is when Gosetsu, according to her script, gets up and says who that woman is to him, saying that he put up an immense fight without caring about himself just for her. Alan wonders if this is just a play and if he needs to keep his feelings to himself for now. He yells that he is her guardian and he has to protect her no matter what and always look out for her. Dorothea cuts the scene and says she did not ask him to go off script at all. He was supposed to say that she is a part of his heart, but Alan says he improvised and thought what he said was better. Then Alan looks back at Charlotte again and wonders how beautiful she is. If he were to tell his feelings to Charlotte, she would feel obliged to give the same feeling back, and he thinks this is way beyond naughty. It seems like the dude doesn't know what naughty means. Next up, Dorothea says they will be doing a Cinderella story, and Alan says why are they still not done already? By now he is getting tired too. Alan tells Charlotte to tell Dorothea that she is tired too, but Charlotte says she is actually having fun, so she wants to keep going. But if he is tired, Charlotte says that they could call it a day. Hearing Charlotte say that she is having fun, Alan says that it was enough to hear it from her, and now he does not feel tired anymore. Then Charlotte turns to Dorothea and asks if she is doing well, as she has never acted before. Dorothea says that she is acting way more than perfect for her. Dorothea hands out the scripts to them for their next play, in which Alan will be acting as a prince on a white horse. Meanwhile, Charlotte would be the mistreated, miserable princess, and Gosetsu would be the evil stepmother of Charlotte. Fenrir asks what her role is, and Dorothea says she has the perfect role for her too. With that, the scene begins again. Dorothea narrates during the act that Charlotte is being mistreated, even though she is a princess, by her stepmother. But this reminds Charlotte of her past before she came to Alan. Her daily routine was to look after the Duke and his responsibilities entirely. Gosetsu acts as the stepmother, wipes her finger on the table, sees some dust, and orders Charlotte to clean entirely again. Charlotte begins saying sorry when the stepmom tells her that she got an invitation from the ball, so she expects everything to be done by this evening. Charlotte, being obedient, says yes, she would keep everything ready. As the stepmom leaves, Charlotte begins weeping that she can't live on like a slave forever, and it is making her miserable. That is when a fairy, played by Fenrir, appears out of the blue in front of Charlotte. She asks her who she is, and she says she is a sorcerer, and she will be taking Charlotte to the ball and dressing her up in a beautiful pink frock. Then, as they make their way to the ball, Alan is sitting on the throne at the ball. Charlotte enters the ball, and she wonders that she has disobeyed her stepmother, and she is scared to be here. Well, Gosetsu spots her too, and she is furious as to why Charlotte is here and sees the prince attracted to her too. Alan and Charlotte are talking, and Alan compliments her, saying that she looks absolutely beautiful. Charlotte blushes that Alan looks so pretty and Prince get up too. Then, following the script, Alan asks Charlotte for a dance, but she is nervous as she has never danced before. Coincidentally, Alan says he has never danced before, so he takes her to a dance, holding her hand to the ball to enjoy their moment. As they dance, Alan looks so charming to Charlotte, and she feels her heart pounding. She keeps her head on Alan's chest. 12 o'clock strikes, and Dorothea cuts the scene again. Sitting on their seats, Dorothea says to Charlotte that she acted really perfectly, and Alan's acting was okay too. Alan yells that he did his best there, so how is it just okay? Then Fenrir and Gosetsu bring Charlotte some water, as she might have gotten tired after such an incredible act. Charlotte thanks them, takes the glass of water, and gulps down the water. Alan says to get him some water too, but Fenrir looks away, and Alan gets annoyed over it. Charlotte says he can drink her water, and Alan blushes at it so hard that he nervously says he doesn't want it. On the other hand, Dorothea says to get themselves prepared for the next act. It goes like this. Charlotte goes back to her old life, and tries to forget about the life she had with the prince. But the prince comes out looking for her. Well, Charlotte can't take her eyes off of Alan, and Alan asks if there is something wrong, and that is when she realizes she was looking at him. So she has to get everything in order. After that, Dorothea yells for the scene to start again. The scene starts with Alan looking for Charlotte with a piece of jewelry that she left him. Gosetsu says that it must belong to her, and she must have forgotten it with him. Alan says no, it does not belong to her, but it belongs to someone whose eyes match the color of the ornament. Suddenly, Alan looks at Charlotte, and her eyes match the same color as the ornament, and he realizes it is her. With that, Alan says that he is the prince of this kingdom, and he came to take her with him. Charlotte frowns and says that she does not deserve to be with such a prince. Alan cuts her off, saying that it does not matter, but Charlotte says that she is certain that she would cause him a lot of trouble too. Not caring what she has to say, Alan says that he does not care about it and wants to protect her all her life and spend it with her. She closes her eyes and wonders that Alan has always sworn to protect her and continues her dialogue. What does he really think about her? That went off script. Alan thought she was improvising, so he decided to tell her the truth about it. But as he begins to tell the truth, someone comes along, breaking the wall. He apologizes for his uninformed visit. Suddenly, Dorothea hides as the man was her editor. He catches her and ties her to ropes so that she won't escape now. He asks where she was hiding, and she says that she had hidden herself in her basement. The editor says that if she had actually done her work on time, he would not have had to waste 30 years of his life. Then the editor gives Alan a sack of coins filled with coins and hands it over to him to repair the wall he has broken. Dorothea yells to save her from the editor, as he will throw her in the ocean. The editor says that the ocean would be too lenient for her. He was thinking more of throwing her in a volcanic eruption. With that said, the editor takes Dorothea with her. Charlotte's voice brings Alan back to reality as she asks what he was trying to say, and they both begin blushing. Suddenly, the door opens, and Iruka is standing in front of them. She alerts them that something is going on with Charlotte's younger sister, and they need to look into the matter as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Charlotte feels worried as to what has happened to her sister. MC and Charlotte are in the same bed, trying to sleep. He knows that this is not exactly what he wants when he thinks of lying to his parents about Charlotte, but he has to do this to keep up with the lie of his. On the other hand, Charlotte is pretty tense and is uttering no words for now, as she also feels very awkward being in the same bed as MC twice. How do these two get in this position every time? Is this a coincidence, or do they want this? Now Alan is thinking about doing something about the situation, but nothing comes to mind. He has to break the silence and the tension that has been building up in the room somehow, because he knows for damn sure that Charlotte is not asleep as well. He gathers his courage and speaks up, telling Charlotte that he is sorry for getting her into this position once again. He knows this is something she does not like at all, and he should not have lied to his parents about this, but it is what it is for now. Charlotte says that it is okay, and it is not really that bad, but he knows she is just too nice and kind for him. He is thinking of a way to get out of this when something comes to his mind. He remembers that this same thing happened to him before as well, and that time, he turned toward his spell to help him fall asleep. Maybe he can do this for now as well, and the night can be over with. He remembers the spell and tries to put it on himself, but something is wrong. The spell is not working. He tries so many times, but he fails every time. He knows something is wrong and something is keeping him from using his spells. He gets up and takes a look around the room, and he notices that the cushioning of the bed is made of something that prevents magic from being used. He knows this has been intentionally put here, and he knows for sure who it is. It is Iruka for sure, even though we know it now. She wants his brother to be with Charlotte, no matter what, and I can actually understand. We do not see girls like Charlotte every day. We go to the next room, and here she is, Iruka with a big grin on her face. She knows her plan of cushioning the bed with special material is working very nicely, and what she wants is what she is getting. She will do anything to make sure her brother is close to Charlotte all the time, no matter what, and it is working for now. The night is very long, and she knows that MC will be getting everything from this night, as he is not sleeping anytime soon. Back in the room, MC is trying his best to fall asleep, but it is just not going to work, and he knows it. Charlotte brings up a random conversation and tells MC that she loved the way his parents were getting along. She feels like they are perfect in every way, and them getting along is a nice thing for MC, but it is not as he tells her. He explains that their getting along too well is also not a good thing. Because of that, his future is in Jeopardy. He wants to be an adventurer and do a lot of things for himself and her, but his father wants him to be the headmaster of the Athena Magical Academy, and that is something he knows is going to keep him from chasing his dreams. Still, Charlotte feels like these parents are the ideal couple. Everyone would want to be like them in the future with the person they love. This is something MC was not expecting, and now he is in his mind thinking what she could have meant by that. He believes that she loved the way they were calling each other cute little nicknames and the way they were cuddling with each other right in front of them. He feels like she loves that, and for her, he would have to do it as well. He starts imagining him sitting with Charlotte and calling each other by nicknames. They are cringy as hell. I hope they do not do this. MC goes in close to Charlotte and she starts stroking his hair gently. MC cannot understand why someone would want that cringy relationship, and thinking this, he gets up saying maybe he should treat Charlotte like Uncle Crawford does with her wife. He was actually thinking this, but he was thinking it out loud. He accidentally said the words he was thinking about, and Charlotte freaks out, telling him that that is not what she meant by that. Knowing that MC messed up and said his thoughts out loud, he is embarrassed and knows that he does not have anything to hide from her now. He feels like they are just pretending, and they would not have to go that far to prove they are in a relationship with his parents. Charlotte is a little relieved by this, but she has something in her mind to ask MC. She asks him about the time they were pretending in front of Dorothea and what MC was about to tell her. That time, MC and Charlotte were just acting, and Charlotte asked MC what his feelings were about her to just play Dorothea. But MC was about to tell her his real feelings, but he refrained himself from doing so. Hearing this shocks MC, and he knows exactly what Charlotte is referring to. He thinks about it and has to agree with himself here that he, in fact, likes Charlotte a lot. The time he spent with her at his mansion was the best of the best for him, as he really connected with Charlotte there. He woke up and came down to meet Charlotte. She always greeted him with a huge smile on her face. The way he tripped around the town with her and did different things with her was a phenomenal memory for him. He loved the fact that he was delving into simple things with Charlotte on a day-to-day basis, and that he was actually like on Earth for some time because of her. As he is thinking this, Charlotte on the other hand is also thinking the same thing about MC. She loved spending time with MC in his mansion. She loved the fact that he taught her different naughty things to do, and she did that every day with him. And at night she went to sleep always saying good night to MC, and she always looked forward to spending the same day with him again the next day. These two are heavily in love with each other. They should just say and get over with it, but they have to stall. Anyways, MC thinks about his feelings, and maybe if he can act on them, that something is keeping him from doing that. MC knows that these feelings are just one-sided, and Charlotte feels nothing like he does, so he cannot force his one-sided feelings on her and expect her to love him like he loves her. At the same time, Charlotte is thinking about how she is a wanted person, and being him is just going to cause trouble for MC. They both make sure and promise themselves in their mind that this is not right. Now MC starts thinking that maybe he can do this, but at the same time, he feels like he cannot just ask this of her, as she just barely started to stand on her feet. He cannot just take that away from her and keep her under himself. Charlotte feels like she is just going to be a burden on him, and she does not want that no matter what. So they both think to themselves that they are not going to let it happen. But they both have the same feelings for each other, and they both feel like they should just bury them deep inside them. This is always bad. Anyways, thinking all of this, MC and Charlotte look at each other, and Charlotte apologizes for troubling him. She tells him that she no longer wants to know what he meant by that one time, and they should just probably go to sleep. She knows they have to get up early in the morning, so they should just try and sleep for now. MC is a little surprised, but also is relieved about this. So they both go to sleep knowing that they have to keep their feelings from each other no matter what. What they do not know is that they both want each other. The other one thinks that the other one does not, and this is the problem. But hey, we know they are going to get together eventually. They get to sleep and actually fall asleep this time. Haruka was waiting for something to happen right now, but it did not. Haruka freaks out because she has put so much effort into altering that bed so they do not fall asleep. She gets furious and is about to go and wake them up somehow, but a fork comes flying and barely misses Haruka and sticks on the wall. It is her mother, and she comes in saying that she has to be quiet. She is making a lot of noise, and that is not helping her and the father fall asleep. This scares her very much, and she is in her place now. The next day, MC and Charlotte woke up early, and MC got little to no sleep last night. His eyes are dark and he is yawning like crazy. Charlotte is ready though for the spell. MC casts a spell on her and changes her appearance in the blink of an eye. She is a changed person with glasses. MC is very happy with his work and loves the way she looks. Seeing MC smile like that, Charlotte feels like something is wrong and asks him about it. MC hesitantly tells her that this appearance suits her a lot and she is looking really good. But Gosetsu and Fu know that is not it, and MC has given her this appearance because he prefers this one. Anyways, they have to get going and leave for the academy. They arrive and enter the academy. Walking in the garden outside the academy, MC gets the feeling that maybe this is the place for them to get together normally. They are walking when suddenly, a kid runs by them, calling someone out. They go to check and find Natalia sitting on the fountain. This is the same fountain they saw the first time in that nostalgic mirror. MC feels like Natalia sits here all the time and lets her workers do the work. At sunset they go to her and she gets up to see MC. Getting up, Natalia looks at her workers and signals them into the fighting position. MC obviously notices this and has a bad feeling about this. He knows that she has been here for just 3 months and she has progressed so much that she uses this method to be in the fighting position as fast as possible right away. This is very frightening for him and he knows he has to be very careful with her. She asks who the hell he is when MC introduces himself. He tells her that he is Alan Crawford and is the substitute teacher of the academy. Hearing who he is, the guys with Natalia start freaking out because they know about him. They know that he is very feared and is the one who fought with the chairman of the academy. In their fight, the mountain of the land was flattened, and that makes him even scarier. He is known as the demon lord of the island and is feared a lot. MC gets cocky and tells them that they do not have to praise him so much, but Charlotte milks his ego, telling him that they were actually not praising him. Anyways, Natalia asks who this girl is with him when MC tells her that she is her assistant Charo. Saying this, MC pushes her forward, telling her to say hi to Natalia. Charlotte fearfully says hi to her, but she doesn't care. Natalia asks why he is here when MC explains that the chairman has asked him personally to take care and guide the problem child of the academy, and that is why he is here. Natalia does not care and wants him to never bother her again, as she does not need any guidance from anyone. Saying this, Natalia and the boys leave them and MC is shocked. But he knew that this was going to happen in their first interaction, so he is not that shocked, to be honest. He is fine and turns around to see how Charlotte is doing, but she is stuck in place. She cannot believe that he just talked to Natalia and that she actually had the courage to talk to her. MC knows that this was not even a conversation, but he knows that if she keeps doing this, she will eventually have great conversations with her and might even build a relationship where they actually fight with each other. Hearing this was way too emotional for Charlotte, and she started crying in front of everyone. Everyone notices them and how Charlotte is crying, and it does not look good. The crowd starts to gather up around them, but MC yells, telling everyone that this is not what it seems like. A little while after, Natalia is in the class when MC and Charlotte come in and sit with her too. Natalia notices them and does not bother to even say hi and keeps looking at the whiteboard. MC notices what they are studying and asks about it. He wonders if Natalia can even understand what they are studying right now. This is when Natalia gets up and tells the teacher teaching them that he has written the formula wrong on a certain part. The teacher takes a look and notices that Natalia is, in fact, right, and he apologizes for doing so. MC now knows that she knows way more than he expected her to know and feels like she is a prodigy in this academy. He looks at Charlotte, and she is in awe, looking at how interesting all this magic study is. She is really impressed that they can study all of this when she cannot even tell what is written on the board. It is like gibberish to her. Hearing this actually surprises Natalia, as she thought MC's assistant might be very capable. She wonders if she even knows what magic is when MC explains that she is a beginner and is starting out. She is going to be a good mage, and for that, it would be a very big help if she helped Charo with her magic. Natalia is shocked and she asks why she has to teach her magic. But MC feels like it would not be a bad thing if she did. She might even learn something alongside her. MC looks at Charlotte and tries to wink to signal her to play along. She plays along, asking that it would be nice if Natalia helped her with the magic. Natalia actually melts seeing how kind and nice Charlotte is and agrees to teach her magic during the lectures. Charlotte is very happy about this and thanks her for doing this. Natalia is actually very surprised seeing how grateful and simple this girl is. After the class, they are outside, and Natalia has actually taught Charlotte a spell already. Outside, Natalia asks Charlotte about why she is going to learn magic. Charlotte explains that she has been protected by MC and others all the time, and she cannot be a burden on them anymore. So for that, she is going to be learning and mastering magic so she can fight back and handle herself in the battleground. This surprises Natalia. Charlotte promises her that she is going to practice the spell she taught her in class, but Natalia lets her know that the spell she taught her is on the advanced side, so she has to start with the basic spells. They are talking when suddenly Gosetsu and Fu show up. They are here with Charlotte's lunch, and Natalia is amazed seeing them here. MC has no idea why they are here, so Gosetsu lets him know about the lunch. Seeing Charlotte with these magical creatures shocks the whole school, and everyone is looking at her. In the cafe after that, Natalia asks Charlotte why she is trying to learn magic when she has actually mastered the ability of a tamer. She feels like she has done nothing, and it is actually those magical beasts that are amazing. They are the ones who obey her, and she still wants to learn magic. They are eating and seeing that Natalia only has fries and a burger. Charlotte asks if this is enough. She feels like she should have some salad as well, so she gets up and tells her that she is going to get her some salad. Charlotte leaves, and Natalia is very confused and expresses that she finds Charo very weird. Why would someone care this much for her? MC tells Natalia that maybe Charo has a little sister at home that brings her the same feeling when she is with you. Natalia understands and feels like she should also respect her. Anyway, Natalia has something to ask of MC and asks if he is someone her family, the Evans, sent after her. MC tells her that he is not, and this relieves her. MC tells her that he knows about her past and what happened to her. Saying this, he tries to bring up the topic of Charlotte, but as he is about to say her name, Natalia stops MC and tells her that she does not want to talk about Charlotte even again. MC understands this and is grateful that Charlotte is not here to hear what she just said. Anyways, Natalia is about to leave when a guy named Chris comes up to her and starts telling her that her reign is going to be over soon and that he is going to defeat her. Natalia mocks her, telling him that he has to get an appointment to fight her, and even if his number comes up, he is going to be defeated as usual. Chris leaves, and Natalia is about to as well when she hears Charlotte falling down. She bumped into some of Chris's guys, and they started mocking Charlotte and hurting her. This boils Natalia, and she jumps to get those two bastards out of Charlotte. She is mad and does not want anyone to hurt Charo like that ever again. She is about to deal with Chris and all of his guys when MC comes up to stop her. He tells her that she does not have to fight when Natalia asks if he is okay with his assistant getting hurt like that. MC assures her that he is not, and saying this, he snaps his fingers to create some other dimension with them, and Chris and his guys in them only. This scares everyone, and Natalia cannot believe what she is experiencing. Chris orders his boys to attack MC as he is the caster of the spell. They charge at him, and MC teaches Natalia a lesson dealing with these boys. He handles them nicely and is about to bring an end to them, creating a huge fireball. But suddenly, something happens and the fireball explodes in his hands. It was Charlotte, and she used her beginner magic to end MC's blast. After that, he lectures MC and Natalia to never fight like that again, even if it is her getting hurt. They both apologize to her. MC and Natalia are standing together when MC tells Natalia that he knows it want to refuse her favor, but there is something Charlotte has to finish today, so she cannot do that for her. This makes Natalia very sad, but she lets it go. Charlotte has been calling Natalia as Miss Natalia, and this does not sit well with her. So Natalia has another favor to ask from Charlotte. Charlotte is already wiping off tears from refusing her first favor, and she is not ready for the second, but Natalia asks her anyway. Natalia says that she wants Charlotte to not call her with these honorifics when they are alone because she wants them to get closer. She wants Charlotte to be her real big sister, and for that, they have to get closer. So she wants Charlotte to just call her Natalia and not Miss Natalia. This surprises Charlotte, but this is the very thing she needs right now to make herself feel a little good. Charlotte calls her by her full name, and it makes Natalia very happy. We see that Iruka knows that Natalia is in danger and she has to be saved. This wakes up Charlotte, and now she is somewhere else. The only thing she says waking up is Natalia's name. We see that Charlotte is right now in a giant boat, and this is Alan's boat. They are headed back to save Natalia. Alan is pretty frustrated that they are returning so soon. He asks about the mission again when Iruka explains that Natalia is in danger and they must save her. He wants to know about Natalia and what she means to Charlotte. Iruka tells him that Natalia is Charlotte's little sister, but not a real one. Natalia is the legitimate heir to the Evans, and Charlotte was taken in by the Evans. Turns out, Charlotte was treated pretty badly back from where she came, and Natalia was her only supporter. She was the one who took care of Charlotte and always looked out for her. That is good that she had someone in that hell house. Iruka is explaining when Charlotte comes out. Alan asks if she got a good sleep. Charlotte is grateful that she did, and it was because of Alan's spell. Charlotte looks a little upset, so Alan asks about it. She tells him that she had a dream about Natalia. Lou and Gosetsu come up, and Iruka gets excited about taking them home. She feels like her mother is going to be very happy to see them. She is mainly excited for Lou, but Gosetsu is not bad either. Well, that was kind of personal. Gosetsu asks if her mother knows about magical creatures and animals. She tells him that she does, and in fact, is the leading expert in magical creature research. Iruka is pretty excited every time she sees Lou. By the way, now I want a magical animal for myself too. They are about to reach the island. Alan cannot believe that it has been 3 years since he left and is now returning to his homeland. Charlotte comes forward and asks if Natalia is going to be here or not. Iruka believes she is and is all alone. Charlotte asks if the black building they are seeing is the school or not, but that is a dormitory for the students, as Alan tells her. He explains that the whole island is kind of an academy for the students. The thing that is interesting is that everyone on the island is part of the society and therefore of the academy. Well, that is very cool, I guess, to have a whole island as a kind of school. They reach the island and set the boat aside. They get outside and step on the island itself. Alan does not feel very good, but Iruka is very excited. Gosetsu is still confused, as they told at first that Natalia is in the Nurik's kingdom, but Iruka is telling us that she is here on the island. Iruka is still on her word, and she knows for sure that Natalia is alone here, but she is fine. Charlotte is pretty excited to meet her sister, but at the same time, she is quite nervous. Alan is for some reason in a hurry and wants Iruka to lay out the details so they can get going. Iruka does not want to rush things and tells him that she will share them a little late when they get home because they are too complicated. Hearing these surprises, Alan was not planning on going home right as he got here. Charlotte is a little confused and surprised at the same time. She cannot believe that Iruka is from this land. Charlotte feels like she is not ready to meet Iruka's parents. She feels like she has to be mentally prepared to meet them, and for that, she needs time. Iruka believes that she is going to be alright, but the one she is worried about is Alan. And why is that, Charlotte asks. Iruka explains that Alan is her brother, and 3 years ago, he left schooling without telling anyone. And because of that, he got in a fight with his dad, and the fight was destructive. We see the glimpse of the fight, and we can say that it was huge. We see two mages about to fight. The fight was over 3 days and nights, and the two mages were constantly blasting each other. The fight was gigantic, and it was not coming to an end. So Alan decided to leave and never come back. They surely have never witnessed me fighting my brother for a burger. Iruka tells Charlotte that she is going to take her to the ruin of the fight, as that part of the land is considered a place for sightseeing. It is kind of a tourist spot. Alan does not recommend it because he thinks it is nothing but flattened land. They are walking through the island when Gosetsu shares the feeling she feels. She feels that the story of Alan returning after having a huge fight, coming back to his loved ones, is very dramatic. Alan does not want to hear stuff like this because he is already thinking of a way to avoid that, and he believes that he didn't come back to make things good because they are already pretty well. He has been in contact with his uncle through mail. This confuses Gosetsu, so Alan explains that he is not Iruka's real brother. He was taken in by the Crawfords, and thus, he and Iruka are step-siblings. Hearing all of this makes Charlotte a little sad, knowing that she does not have a family and that kind of relationship that makes you fight them. Well, this is a dumb thing to get upset on. Alan feels like she still has a sister, and after meeting her, she should build a relationship with her so they can fight with each other over little things as well. He also offers that he is going to help her as well with this. Gosetsu and Lou also jump on Alan and tell Charlotte that all of them are by her side. This makes her very happy, and she feels like she is blessed to have these guys. Suddenly, a fight broke out between a human and a fish person in the middle of the island. Alan knows that these kinds of disputes are normal on this island, but still, he was not expecting one right now. Anyways, the guys are getting pretty hot, but Alan sees someone walking up to the crowd and suddenly knows that there is nothing to be worried about. Charlotte asks about it, so Alan tells her just to observe. This white-haired guy walks up to those two guys to help them make up, but they instead start bad-mouthing him. The guy feels like he has no other choice and grabs them both, freezing them whole. This shocks the whole crowd. Iruka calls the guy and he shows up in front of them, saying hello to Alan. He tells Alan that he looks pretty good after all this time, but Alan does not look so happy to meet this guy. He turns to Charlotte and tells her that he has heard a lot about her and is honored to meet her. He introduces himself and we get to know that he is Alan and Iruka's father, Harvey Crawford. This slips the floor right under Charlotte's feet. She cannot believe that their father is this young and talented man. He does not look like a father either. These anime are getting too fictional. He takes them home and sets them in the main hall. They are sitting chatting with each other when Harvey brings up that he is relieved to see that Alan is doing alright by himself. He is very happy that Alan brought home a beautiful and caring girlfriend. This shocks Alan and he tries to correct him, but Iruka stops him by stomping on his boot. He gets the signal and knows that Iruka has played a game with father and mother, so they do not bring up the topic of Alan leaving. This is the best thing for Alan and everything he wanted. He does not want to talk about that, especially in front of Charlotte. The thing that is concerning is that he has to make Charlotte play along so they can get through this without any hazards. He looks at her and tries to wink but cannot. This guy mastered every kind of high-level spell and here he is, finding it difficult to just wink. Alan cannot believe that he cannot blink, but he is kind of opening and closing his eyes, which gets the message through to Charlotte. She is right away on board with the plan and gets up to go to Harvey to pay her respects. She tells him that she is in a relationship with Alan and is very happy with that. Harvey feels like she is too perfect for Alan and there is no way she is his girlfriend, but Charlotte makes him believe that. She goes on to say that his son has been a very kind person and thanks to him, she has learned a lot of new great and naughty things. This freaks out Alan and he wants Charlotte to be quiet from now on. He does not want her to make his father too happy. Lou comes up to tell her that Charlotte is her mother, but Gosetsu stops her. Harvey is very happy to hear all of this and lets Charlotte know that Iruka told him everything and that if there is something she needs help with, she can come to him. She can also call him father or dad if she likes. Meanwhile, Alan is looking at Iruka thinking about how far has she gone with this story. Anyways, Harvey feels like they are very good together and should marry right away. This blows Alan and Charlotte's minds. She was not expecting this to go this far and Alan comes in to save the day. He tells his father that they have not thought about this like that, which leads him to think that these two are just in a fun relationship. But Alan corrects him, saying they are very serious, but he has made up his mind to reside where he already resides, which means he is never coming back here. Meanwhile, Charlotte cannot comprehend where the conversation is going. She does not want to get mixed up in all of this. Suddenly, the door of the hall opens and a cute pink-haired lady comes in. Charlotte, believing that she is Alan's little sister, introduces herself, but she is not Alan's sister, but Alan's mother. Alan is about to call her auntie, as she is his stepmother, but she stops him from doing so by throwing a fork his way. It misses him by a slight margin, but taught him a lesson. Her name is Lisido, but Harvey, Alan's stepfather, calls her Lissy. Anyways, Harvey asks Alan to consider the offer he made him that time ago. Alan is still not going to accept the offer. Can someone tell us what the offer is? Iruka explains that Harvey is the headmaster of the Athenka Magical Academy and he offered Alan to take his position so he can retire. But Alan explains that he didn't offer him for him, but he offered him so he can do what he wants, and what he wants is something that he thinks is not a good reason to retire. He explains that his stepfather wants to retire so he can spend more time with Lissy. Harvey feels like this is totally a good thing to do as he loves her very much. He tries to convince Alan, saying that they would get him some little sisters or brothers if he let them be with each other. This disgusts Alan and he does not even want to picture them making babies. Lissy feels like Charlotte is very uncomfortable because of their noisy talk, but she is envious, seeing this family have a good relationship. But now, Alan wants to get to the main thing they are here to discuss, Natalia. He wants to know how she is doing when Harvey tells them about it. He explains that Natalia has been studying abroad in their academy for 3 months now, and because of the way things are here, she was not identified for a long time. She used a fake identity to get here, but by the time they identified her, it was too late. This makes sense for Alan as he feels like Natalia used the fake identity because she saw her sister get out with the real identity, and it didn't go well for her, so she of course changed her identity. Harvey informs Alan about the factional disputes going on between different factions in the academy. Charlotte is blaming herself for this. She believes that Charlotte ended up like this because of her and her fleeing from the house. Anyways, Alan wants to know how Natalia is doing in the academy, so Harvey shows them. Iruka gets up and gets the cloth off the mirror they have already set up in the room. This is a nostalgic mirror and shows the different locations on it. We see Natalia sitting alone by the fountain when some fish creature persons show up to bully her. Charlotte freaks out and so does Alan. He cannot believe Harvey is watching this and is doing nothing. Alan is about to leave to help Natalia when he hears a giant blast. We see the fish creature on his knees in front of Natalia. This scene is pretty wild and unbelievable for everyone as Natalia was not expected to be like this. We see the fish guy begging for his life just because he didn't get the sandwich Natalia ordered. She mocks the fish creatures and tells them that they cannot even run errands for her. She is the boss lady of them, and Harvey explains that she is at the top of the faction. They have never seen this much growth in 3 months. Charlotte again blames herself, saying that she became a bad girl because of her. But Harvey wants them to know that Natalia is not all bad. Looking at the mirror again, we see that Natalia is actually being nice to the guy who didn't get the order correct. She wants him to keep the money because she knows how hard he is working to provide for his family. This makes the guy cry like a baby as he praises Natalia for being this kind. So Harvey wants Alan to take care of it and talk to her. He agrees and asks if Charlotte wants to see her as well. She does, as she is the most important person in her life. They are going to talk to her tomorrow, so for now, they are going to go to bed. Lissy gives Alan and Charlotte the same room with one bed. Alan freaks out seeing one bed, but Lissy confronts him saying that they should sleep together if they are lovers like Alan said. And if Alan is lying to her, she is going to be very mad about it. She leaves and Charlotte asks Alan, being shy, to come to bed as they have to get up early to meet Natalia. MC and Charlotte are in the same bed, trying to sleep. He knows that this is not exactly what he wants when he thinks of lying to his parents about Charlotte, but he has to do this to keep up with the lie of his. On the other hand, Charlotte is pretty tense and is uttering no words for now, as she also feels very awkward being in the same bed as MC twice. How do these two get in this position every time? Is this a coincidence, or do they want this? Now Alan is thinking about doing something about the situation, but nothing comes to mind. He has to break the silence and the tension that has been building up in the room somehow, because he knows for damn sure that Charlotte is not asleep as well. He gathers his courage and speaks up, telling Charlotte that he is sorry for getting her into this position once again. He knows this is something she does not like at all, and he should not have lied to his parents about this, but it is what it is for now. Charlotte says that it is okay, and it is not really that bad, but he knows she is just too nice and kind for him. He is thinking of a way to get out of this when something comes to his mind. He remembers that this same thing happened to him before as well, and that time, he turned toward his spell to help him fall asleep. Maybe he can do this for now as well, and the night can be over with. He remembers the spell and tries to put it on himself, but something is wrong. The spell is not working. He tries so many times, but he fails every time. He knows something is wrong and something is keeping him from using his spells. He gets up and takes a look around the room, and he notices that the cushioning of the bed is made of something that prevents magic from being used. He knows this has been intentionally put here, and he knows for sure who it is. It is Aruka for sure, even though we know it now. She wants his brother to be with Charlotte, no matter what, and I can actually understand. We do not see girls like Charlotte every day. We go to the next room, and here she is, Haruka, with a big grin on her face. She knows her plan of cushioning the bed with special material is working very nicely, and what she wants is what she is getting. She will do anything to make sure her brother is close to Charlotte all the time, no matter what, and it is working for now. The night is very long, and she knows that MC will be getting everything from this night, as he is not sleeping anytime soon. Back in the room, MC is trying his best to fall asleep, but it is just not going to work, and he knows it. Charlotte brings up a random conversation and tells MC that she loved the way his parents were getting along. She feels like they are perfect in every way, and them getting along is a nice thing for MC, but it is not as he tells her. He explains that their getting along too well is also not a good thing. Because of that, his future is in Jeopardy. He wants to be an adventurer and do a lot of things for himself and her, but his father wants him to be the headmaster of the Athena Magical Academy, and that is something he knows is going to keep him from chasing his dreams. Still, Charlotte feels like these parents are the ideal couple. Everyone would want to be like them in the future with the person they love. This is something MC was not expecting, and now he is in his mind thinking what she could have meant by that. He believes that she loved the way they were calling each other cute little nicknames and the way they were cuddling with each other right in front of them. He feels like she loves that, and for her, he would have to do it as well. He starts imagining him sitting with Charlotte and calling each other by nicknames. They are cringy as hell. I hope they do not do this. MC goes in close to Charlotte, and she starts stroking his hair gently. MC cannot understand why someone would want that cringy relationship, and thinking this, he gets up saying maybe he should treat Charlotte like Uncle Crawford does with her wife. He was actually thinking this, but he was thinking it out loud. He accidentally said the words he was thinking about, and Charlotte freaks out, telling him that that is not what she meant by that. Knowing that MC messed up and said his thoughts out loud, he is embarrassed and knows that he does not have anything to hide from her now. He feels like they are just pretending, and they would not have to go that far to prove they are in a relationship with his parents. Charlotte is a little relieved by this, but she has something in her mind to ask MC. She asks him about the time they were pretending in front of Dorothea and what MC was about to tell her. That time, MC and Charlotte were just acting, and Charlotte asked MC what his feelings were about her to just play Dorothea. But MC was about to tell her his real feelings, but he refrained himself from doing so. Hearing this shocks MC, and he knows exactly what Charlotte is referring to. He thinks about it and has to agree with himself here that he, in fact, likes Charlotte a lot. The time he spent with her at his mansion was the best of the best for him, as he really connected with Charlotte there. He woke up and came down to meet Charlotte. She always greeted him with a huge smile on her face. The way he tripped around the town with her and did different things with her was a phenomenal memory for him. He loved the fact that he was delving into simple things with Charlotte on a day-to-day basis, and that he was actually like on Earth for some time because of her. As he is thinking this, Charlotte on the other hand is also thinking the same thing about MC. She loved spending time with MC in his mansion. She loved the fact that he taught her different naughty things to do, and she did that every day with him. And at night she went to sleep always saying good night to MC, and she always looked forward to spending the same day with him again the next day. These two are heavily in love with each other. They should just say and get over with it, but they have to stall. Anyways, MC thinks about his feelings, and maybe if he can act on them, that something is keeping him from doing that. MC knows that these feelings are just one-sided, and Charlotte feels nothing like he does, so he cannot force his one-sided feelings on her and expect her to love him like he loves her. At the same time, Charlotte is thinking about how she is a wanted person, and being him is just going to cause trouble for MC. They both make sure and promise themselves in their mind that this is not right. Now MC starts thinking that maybe he can do this, but at the same time, he feels like he cannot just ask this of her, as she just barely started to stand on her feet. He cannot just take that away from her and keep her under himself. Charlotte feels like she is just going to be a burden on him, and she does not want that no matter what, so they both think to themselves that they are not going to let it happen. But they both have the same feelings for each other, and they both feel like they should just bury them deep inside them. This is always bad. Anyways, thinking all of this, MC and Charlotte look at each other, and Charlotte apologizes for troubling him. She tells him that she no longer wants to know what he meant by that one time, and they should just probably go to sleep. She knows they have to get up early in the morning, so they should just try and sleep for now. MC is a little surprised, but also is relieved about this. So they both go to sleep knowing that they have to keep their feelings from each other no matter what. What they do not know is that they both want each other. The other one thinks that the other one does not, and this is the problem. But hey, we know they are going to get together eventually. They get to sleep and actually fall asleep this time. Haruka was waiting for something to happen right now, but it did not. Haruka freaks out because she has put so much effort into altering that bed so they do not fall asleep. She gets furious and is about to go and wake them up somehow, but a fork comes flying and barely misses Haruka and sticks on the wall. It is her mother, and she comes in saying that she has to be quiet. She is making a lot of noise, and that is not helping her and the father fall asleep. This scares her very much, and she is in her place now. The next day, MC and Charlotte woke up early, and MC got little to no sleep last night. His eyes are dark and he is yawning like crazy. Charlotte is ready though for the spell. MC casts a spell on her and changes her appearance in the blink of an eye. She is a changed person with glasses. MC is very happy with his work and loves the way she looks. Seeing MC smile like that, Charlotte feels like something is wrong and asks him about it. MC hesitantly tells her that this appearance suits her a lot and she is looking really good. But Gosetsu and Fu know that is not it, and MC has given her this appearance because he prefers this one. Anyways, they have to get going and leave for the academy. They arrive and enter the academy. Walking in the garden outside the academy, MC gets the feeling that maybe this is the place for them to get together normally. They are walking when suddenly, a kid runs by them, calling someone out. They go to check and find Natalia sitting on the fountain. This is the same fountain they saw the first time in that nostalgic mirror. MC feels like Natalia sits here all the time and lets her workers do the work. At sunset they go to her and she gets up to see MC. Getting up, Natalia looks at her workers and signals them into the fighting position. MC obviously notices this and has a bad feeling about this. He knows that she has been here for just 3 months, and she has progressed so much that she uses this method to be in the fighting position as fast as possible right away. This is very frightening for him, and he knows he has to be very careful with her. She asks who the hell he is when MC introduces himself. He tells her that he is Alan Crawford and is the substitute teacher of the academy. Hearing who he is, the guys with Natalia start freaking out because they know about him. They know that he is very feared and is the one who fought with the chairman of the academy. In their fight, the mountain of the land was flattened, and that makes him even scarier. He is known as the demon lord of the island and is feared a lot. MC gets cocky and tells them that they do not have to praise him so much, but Charlotte milks his ego, telling him that they were actually not praising him. Anyways, Natalia asks who this girl is with him when MC tells her that she is her assistant Charo. Saying this, MC pushes her forward, telling her to say hi to Natalia. Charlotte fearfully says hi to her, but she doesn't care. Natalia asks why he is here when MC explains that the chairman has asked him personally to take care and guide the problem child of the academy, and that is why he is here. Natalia does not care and wants him to never bother her again, as she does not need any guidance from anyone. Saying this, Natalia and the boys leave them and MC is shocked. But he knew that this was going to happen in their first interaction, so he is not that shocked, to be honest. He is fine and turns around to see how Charlotte is doing, but she is stuck in place. She cannot believe that he just talked to Natalia and that she actually had the courage to talk to her. MC knows that this was not even a conversation, but he knows that if she keeps doing this, she will eventually have great conversations with her and might even build a relationship where they actually fight with each other. Hearing this was way too emotional for Charlotte, and she started crying in front of everyone. Everyone notices them and how Charlotte is crying, and it does not look good. The crowd starts to gather up around them, but MC yells, telling everyone that this is not what it seems like. A little while after, Natalia is in the class when MC and Charlotte come in and sit with her too. Natalia notices them and does not bother to even say hi and keeps looking at the whiteboard. MC notices what they are studying and asks about it. He wonders if Natalia can even understand what they are studying right now. This is when Natalia gets up and tells the teacher teaching them that he has written the formula wrong on a certain part. The teacher takes a look and notices that Natalia is, in fact, right, and he apologizes for doing so. MC now knows that she knows way more than he expected her to know and feels like she is a prodigy in this academy. He looks at Charlotte, and she is in awe, looking at how interesting all this magic study is. She is really impressed that they can study all of this when she cannot even tell what is written on the board. It is like gibberish to her. Hearing this actually surprises Natalia, as she thought MC's assistant might be very capable. She wonders if she even knows. MC looks at Charlotte and tries to wink to signal her to play along. She plays along, asking that it would be nice if Natalia helped her with the magic. Natalia actually melts seeing how kind and nice Charlotte is and agrees to teach her magic during the lectures. Charlotte is very happy about this and thanks her for doing this. Natalia is actually very surprised seeing how grateful and simple this girl is. After the class, they are outside, and Natalia has actually taught Charlotte a spell already. Outside, Natalia asks Charlotte about why she is going to learn magic. Charlotte explains that she has been protected by MC and others all the time, and she cannot be a burden on them anymore. So for that, she is going to be learning and mastering magic so she can fight back and handle herself in the battleground. This surprises Natalia. Charlotte promises her that she is going to practice the spell she taught her in class, but Natalia lets her know that the spell she taught her is on the advanced side, so she has to start with the basic spells. They are talking when suddenly Gosetsu and Fu show up. They are here with Charlotte's lunch, and Natalia is amazed seeing them here. MC has no idea why they are here, so Gosetsu lets him know about the lunch. Seeing Charlotte with these magical creatures shocks the whole school, and everyone is looking at her. In the cafe after that, Natalia asks Charlotte why she is trying to learn magic when she has actually mastered the ability of a tamer. She feels like she has done nothing, and it is actually those magical beasts that are amazing. They are the ones who obey her, and she still wants to learn magic. They are eating and seeing that Natalia only has fries and a burger. Charlotte asks if this is enough. She feels like she should have some salad as well, so she gets up and tells her that she is going to get her some salad. Charlotte leaves and Natalia is very confused and expresses that she finds Charo very weird. Why would someone care this much for her? MC tells Natalia that maybe Charo has a little sister at home that brings her the same feeling when she is with you. Natalia understands and feels like she should also respect her. Anyway, Natalia has something to ask of MC and asks if he is someone her family, the Evans, sent after her. MC tells her that he is not, and this relieves her. MC tells her that he knows about her past and what happened to her. Saying this, he tries to bring up the topic of Charlotte, but as he is about to say her name, Natalia stops MC and tells her that she does not want to talk about Charlotte even again. MC understands this and is grateful that Charlotte is not here to hear what she just said. Anyways, Natalia is about to leave when a guy named Chris comes up to her and starts telling her that her reign is going to be over soon and that he is going to defeat her. Natalia mocks her, telling him that he has to get an appointment to fight her, and even if his number comes up, he is going to be defeated as usual. Chris leaves and Natalia is about to as well when she hears Charlotte falling down. She bumped into some of Chris's guys and they started mocking Charlotte and hurting her. This boils Natalia and she jumps to get those two bastards out of Charlotte. She is mad and does not want anyone to hurt Charo like that ever again. She is about to deal with Chris and all of his guys when MC comes up to stop her. He tells her that she does not have to fight when Natalia asks if he is okay with his assistant getting hurt like that. MC assures her that he is not, and saying this, he snaps his fingers to create some other dimension with them and Chris and his guys in them only. This scares everyone and Natalia cannot believe what she is experiencing. Chris orders his boys to attack MC as he is the caster of the spell. They charge at him and MC teaches Natalia a lesson dealing with these boys. He handles them nicely and is about to bring an end to them, creating a huge fireball. But suddenly something happens and the fireball explodes in his hands. It was Charlotte, and she used her beginner magic to end MC's blast. After that, he lectures MC and Natalia to never fight like that again, even if it is her getting hurt. They both apologize to her. MC and Natalia are standing together when MC tells Natalia that he knows about her history in the academy. Natalia tells him that Chris is the guy who she uses to practice her magic and is actually very helpful. But MC has something to tell Natalia. He wants her to know that this is her time and she should be getting ready to reign over the whole academy. We see the gang is right now in the cafeteria and we are picking up right where we left off. Well, this is going to be an exciting episode. I wonder what Alan is going to teach this spoiled child that is going to make her even more naughty. The gang is chatting when Iruka shows up out of nowhere. She is here to check on all of them, and coming in, she notices Natalia and is surprised to see her here. Natalia gets up and wonders who she is of all people. Iruka expresses that she has been hearing a lot of things about Natalia and that it is nice to finally meet her at this time. This makes her a little nervous as she has no idea who this girl is. Charlotte tells her that this lady is the sister of the great demon lord and is a very capable lady. She is surprised and greets her properly this time around. She knows what it is to be the sister of this great demon lord. She knows the capability of the great demon lord, and keeping them in mind, she knows his sister would be nothing less than impressive and amazing. She expresses her thoughts and lets her know that she is happy to meet her and that she knows she is very capable just like her brother. Iruka is happy seeing how Natalia greeted her, but she tells her that she is not close to her brother, though she is still very capable and powerful. Iruka wonders what they are doing here when Natalia tells her that she is learning something very valuable from the great demon lord himself. He calls it how to conquer the academy. Iruka knows her brother would be up to this crap, but she cannot do anything about it. Anyways, Alan begins to explain what he is going to be teaching Natalia today and how she is going to conquer the academy. Natalia is all ears and Alan tells her that she has to make sure that she shows her rivals how truly powerful she is. She has to make sure that everyone who witnesses her powers is afraid of her and will never dare to challenge her. For that, she has to first find the rival she thinks is the most capable and the one that she can handle easily. And then after she has done that, she has to pick the thing her rival is most powerful and in control of. Finding that thing, she has to make sure to win and show the real difference of the powers, and after she has done that, her rival would never dare to even look at her without her permission. Natalia is very excited while Charlotte thinks that all of this is making Natalia a very naughty girl, and that is not okay. Well, I would love to learn something like that always. A teacher like Alan would be very popular in my school. I know that much. Alan goes on to explain the thing they are going to be doing. The game they are going to play is the one where both of them have to go into the dungeon and find the flag that is hidden at the back of the dungeon. Finding it, they have to bring it back here, and the one who does that first wins. Natalia is sure that she is going to win very easily, but Alan does not want to take the risk. For that, he has a technique that he is willing to teach Natalia that is barely legal. Natalia knows that she is in the best hands and that this way, she is going to be the most feared person in the academy. Anyway, the game begins and Natalia easily finds the flag and comes back claiming victory. Her rival, Chris, is very mad and knows that something not so legal happened here, but he cannot prove it right now, so he leaves, accepting his defeat, and Natalia is very happy. Even Alan is surprised as he was not expecting her to finish with the difference of a whole 30 minutes. Iruka, Charlotte, and Alan congratulate Natalia for her victory, and as they are talking, Natalia's underlings show up. They tell her the things they did today. All of them are doing the naughty things Alan is teaching her to do, and that way, they are getting the reputation of fearsome in the academy. Heck, one even threw the guy who stole his girlfriend into the water. Natalia is very proud of them and knows that she will shine as they are her underlings. They get very emotional because they get a compliment from their boss lady. Gosetsu and Lu show up, telling Natalia that they are training her underlings very well. Saying this, Gosetsu is ready and takes out her whip, telling the underlings to lap around the island as the break time is over. They leave and Gosetsu and Fu do as well. Alan and the others decide to go to the cafeteria to eat something as Natalia is very hungry. As they are walking, Charlotte tells Natalia that she has to eat her vegetables no matter what, and Natalia nods. At the cafe, Charlotte has made a full vegetable bowl for Natalia, and she doesn't like it. But she also does not want Charlotte to know that she hates it, so she tells her that she is not hungry. Charlotte gets a little upset, saying that she wanted Natalia to get her vegetables for the day as it is good for her. Seeing that Charlotte got upset, Natalia ate the whole bowl of vegetables in a minute or so. She chugs it down really fast, and putting the bowl down, she asks Charlotte if she is happy now. Alan and Iruka start clapping for what she did, and Charlotte gets really happy. Charlotte thinks that she likes her vegetables a lot and has more for her, so she gives her another bowl of vegetables. Alan and Iruka are watching them as they talk and have this kind of fun. Alan seems to think that they are very close and they are already acting like two sisters. He wants them to be like this forever, and for that, they have to tell Natalia that this is her real sister so they can be like a family again. Iruka asks about it. She wants to know why he still has not told Natalia about it. She thinks that these two are getting along really well, and it should not be a problem then. But that is not it. Alan knows that they are getting along, but talking about her sister is a landmine for Natalia. She clearly told him that time that she does not want to talk about her sister, and so she expects him to never say her name again. He knows that he will, but for that, he has to build trust with her, and when that happens, he will surely tell her the truth about Charlo. Anyways, Alan wonders what Iruka is going to be doing once she gets free from here. He knows she has some work to do, and she can actually go do it now. Iruka tells him that she was here to look over Natalia, but by the looks of it, that is taken care of. So she is planning on going and looking at the investigation her dad wants her to look into. Her dad has also told her that he can also help her with that. Alan tells her that she should go and do what she is told to do. Iruka teases Alan, saying that she must be happy that his partner is finally going to be with her sister. Alan really does not like Iruka talking about this kind of talk. At the table, Charlotte and Natalia are chatting when Natalia hesitantly asks Charlotte if she is willing to learn another spell or not. Charlotte knows that Natalia has classes with Alan, so she must be busy, but she did not know that she had time for her. Natalia tells her that she wants to teach her another spell, but only if she wants it. Charlotte loves this and tells her that she is more than happy to learn another spell. Natalia is excited about this and tells her the time and place for it. They are going to do it tomorrow early before the classes, and Charlotte is pretty excited about it. Natalia is very careful talking to Charlotte. She is a hard one, but she melts talking to Charlotte. How can she hate her if she finds out that it is actually her sister she is talking to? They are chatting when Natalia's underlings show up once again. They are drenched in sweat and they just finished their training with Gosetsu. They are here and tell Natalia that they would love to join them if they are training anytime soon. But they have not finished talking when Gosetsu shows up again and takes out her whip, telling them to resume their training once again. They get out of there and Gosetsu goes after them. A little while after, Natalia gets really tired and falls asleep in the cafe. Alan picks her up and takes her to her room. Coming to her room, they get her on her bed and they look around the room, seeing all of the study material. They find out that the source of her immense power is actually just studying. But they see a suitcase right next to her pillow and Natalia grabs it in her sleep, hugging it almost. Alan and everyone are very confused and curious about this suitcase. Alan wants to see it, but one of her underlings tells him that he is going to be beaten up without any reason if he touches that suitcase. He tried scanning it without touching it, but he could not. He tried it, but the suitcase was magically sealed, and for that reason, he could not even see what is inside the suitcase. He asks if the underlings know, but he does not as well. Charlotte and Alan seem to think that it must be something very important to her, and that is why it is very close to her, literally. Underlings make an excuse and get out of there in time before he has to answer any more questions. Alan and Charlotte decide to stay for a bit longer here in Natalia's room. They are sitting while seeing her sleep when Charlotte expresses that maybe she does not have to tell Natalia her true identity. Alan is surprised, and upon asking, she tells him that she and Natalia are very close, but she never talks about her family. That is enough answer for her, and she does not want to hurt her, bringing up her family. She feels like maybe she has brought so much trouble on Natalia that she does not even want to think about her, and this upsets her. She feels like they should stop focusing on making these two get along and focus on her studies. Alan disagrees with her, and so does Lou. Lou feels like why should they stop when they are doing so well? She feels like Charlotte is Charlotte and Natalia is Natalia, and they should always get along. But Charlotte tells her that she is not Charlotte to Natalia but Charlo, the great demon lord's assistant. Alan still thinks that they should not get to conclusions so early and wait a bit. Gosetsu agrees with him and tells Charlotte that she just has to give this matter some time and nothing else. For now, she has to make sure Natalia grows happily and nothing else, and the time will cure this matter for her. Alan is impressed because of Gosetsu's advice and shares that she must have gone through some stuff to have that kind of advice. She starts explaining that once she was half asleep and destroyed the volcanic place to ashes, but after some 100 years, it changed back to Greenland. So time does cure everything. Alan thought he heard this story as the destruction of the place for unknown reasons, but we find out that the reason was Gosetsu all along. Charlotte is hopeful now and tells everyone that she would be willing to give this matter time as suggested and wait until the time is right. Alan is happy hearing this, and so does Lou. The next day, Charlotte is getting ready to go to Natalia early in the morning so she can learn some new spells. She accidentally bumps into the chair and some books fall off. She feels like Alan would have woken up from this, but he has not. Telling that she will be back, Charlotte leaves and we see that Alan is awake. We see Natalia teaching Charlotte the fire spell, and first, she demonstrates it. After seeing it, Charlotte tries it and finally gets it. After all the training, they take a break and Natalia drinks water. Charlotte thanks her for doing this for her. Natalia loves it as well. Charlotte something along the lines of "I'm looking forward to you teaching me some more tomorrow," when Natalia seems surprised hearing this. Charlotte thought that Natalia was going to teach her some more tomorrow, but she looks surprised. Natalia tells Charlotte that she is happy because of all this, and this reminds her of the time she had fun before joining the academy. Charlotte believes that this time she is talking about her back home, but before she says further about this, Natalia tells her that she has something to show Charlotte. Saying this, she takes her to her room, and going there, she freaks out seeing that her suitcase is gone. We did see Chris come into the room yesterday for no reason and just left without saying anything, so this might be him. Natalia looks everywhere, but she cannot find it. The window is open as well, and the thief might have gone out through the window. There is a challenge letter on her desk, and it is from Chris. He is the one who stole her bag and wants her to come down to a place he mentioned, and she has to come there alone. Charlotte reminds her that she does not have to fight as that is not okay, but Natalia does not listen. Natalia wants Charlotte to keep this from the great demon lord, and saying this, she goes toward the place Chris mentioned. A little later, we see Alan with Natalia's underlings, and they are worried. Underlings tell Alan that Natalia did not show up to the classes and Charlotte is missing as well. Alan tries to figure out where they could be, but they have no clue where they could be. Alan knows that there is no way Natalia could be in danger, but Gosetsu brings up a good point, saying that maybe Natalia heard them talking last night and decided to leave. Alan can think about it, but it does not make sense as even Charlotte is missing. Suddenly, one of Chris' underlings shows up and he looks pretty worried. Alan wants him gone for now as they are very worried about something already, but he wants them to hear him at least. He tells them that Chris has Natalia's bag and he has asked her to come to the Forbidden Dungeon at this hour. They are right now at the Forbidden Dungeon, and they could be in grave danger. Alan thinks about it, and he knows that the forbidden dungeon would not be a big danger normally, but what Iruka told them is something to think about. She told them that the dungeon's owner is lying right now and is very agitated. This is a big mistake, and this means that both of them are in danger. But where is Charlotte? They always have to keep something from us, like we would not get to know it later on. We see that Natalia and Chris are right now in the dungeon, and they are standing at the edges of the giant hall with a huge hole in the middle. The hole is way deep and there is no end to it. Chris has Natalia's bag and asks her if she wants it back. She does, but Chris throws the bag in the hole. She freaks out, but Chris reminds her that the bag has a spell cast on it and would not break like this. He wanted her to come to this place so they could have a match alone without the presence of any teacher. He wants to see who can retrieve the bag faster, and whoever does is the winner, and the other one has to accept his defeat. Saying this, Chris starts to run, and Natalia runs behind him. Back with Alan, we get to know what Chris's mind is. He was called the genius of the academy and was very capable. Everyone was afraid of him and always respected him until Natalia arrived here. That was the day that there was a competition for Chris that he never won and always failed. Natalia was better than him at everything, and she always made him look like a fool. But last night he had enough and told them that he was going to defeat Natalia no matter how. He is going to be doing everything in his might to make sure that Natalia loses this time, and that is the reason he saw you all in her room, and he saw what was most important to her, to use that as bait to bring her to this forbidden dungeon. Alan knows what to do now and wants to go there himself while everyone stays there. Natalia's underlings are worried that something might happen to him, but Alan is confident that he is just going to go and give that brat a taste of his fist and bring Natalia and Charlotte back. He leaves and tells Gozetsu to send a message to her uncle just in case. Back at the dungeon, we see that Natalia retrieved the bag again, and she is the winner once again. They are very tired of all the running, and they are about to leave when they hear a giant thudding sound. We see a giant creature called Chimera come, and it is huge. Chris is shaking with fear, and Natalia is also afraid a bit. They have to get out of here. Chris runs away from there, and Natalia goes behind him. They hide for a bit from the giant beast and finally manage to get away from him. They are sitting and waiting for the beats to go when Natalia shares that they might have to fight the creature on their own. First, she roasts Chris because of the way he ran from there like a child. Anyways, she knows that Chimera does not like loud sounds, and they can make sounds to make him stay away from them. They are thinking this when the Chimera comes out of nowhere and attacks Chris. He tries deflecting it and it works, but it attacks again and Chris passes out. Natalia is alone now and gets slashed away. She is about to take the final blow from Chimera when Charlotte comes and uses a spell to blast Chimera from one side. Chimera runs from there and leaves them alone. Charlotte comes to Natalia and Natalia gets hit on one leg. They take Chris and sit on one side of the dungeon and have to wait for him to wake up so they can leave. Natalia is surprised to see Charlotte here and asks her why she came here to save her. She tells her that even if she is a good mage, she is still a child and she should not go to dangerous places like this alone. She came here and used the spells she taught her to sway the beast away. We see Alan running in the cave as he knows there is a beast in this dungeon that should not be woken up. The salamander. Chris is right now unconscious and Charlotte and Natalia are waiting for him to get up so they can get the hell out of there. As they are sitting there waiting for Chris to wake up, Natalia and Charlotte are alone and they start talking about the bag that Natalia was protecting at all costs. Charlotte is really curious about the bag as to what could be in it, so she is willing to do anything to make sure nothing happens to it. Natalia finds this opportunity and tells Charlotte about the bag. First, she asks if it is true that she has a little sister back home, and Natalia reminds her of her little sister. Charlotte knows where this conversation is going and she is so ready for it. She tells her yes, and Natalia sighs happily. She tells Charlotte everything about her past right here, right now. She starts by telling her that she had an older sister just like her back home, but something terrible happened and they were separated forever. She knows the great demon lord must have talked about her with Charo, and Charo says yes. Charlotte knows that the incident was terrible and that her older sister committed a terrible crime, but Natalia stops her right here. She does not want to hear anything like that about her sister. She knows that is not possible because her older sister would never even kill a bug, let alone a person. She knows that she was framed first of all, and then she was forced to leave the city. In her opinion, her sister is the most innocent person you can find anywhere on this planet, because she is a gem for sure. She knows that it is that prince who did something and tricked her sister into doing something she must have never done on her own, but she could not do anything. She further explains that ever since she was little, she was raised by her older sister and she treated her like no one. She always played with her, read her bedtime stories, and much more. But one day something happened and her sister took a beating, and a lot of beating I should say. She could not save her sister, and ever since that day, she refrained from meeting her and she never saw her again. Natalia is angry as she tells her that she is going to find her sister no matter what. This bag is the stuff that her sister possessed, and she got it after she was forced out of the city. This is the only memory she has of her sister, and she holds it closer to her than her heart. This reminds her of her older sister and the times they spent with each other. She is surely going to find out who kidnapped her sister and who is the bastard that took away her. Charlotte is curious and asks her about why she thinks her sister was kidnapped. Natalia explains that she knows she is still alive and not dead because she can sense it through the stuff in the bag. The bag is heavily armed with magic, and she cannot break it enough to find the location of her sister, but she knows she is alive. She is furious when she tells her that she is going to find out who took away her sister and break him limb by limb. Only if Charlotte had tongue right now and she could speak. "What the hell are you doing, you dumb girl? She needs you right now, and you can just tell her that you are her older sister and everything. Would not that solve everything?" Charlotte is worried now that Alan is going to break apart limb by Natalia. Anyway, Charlotte tells her that she is surely going to find her sister, and even she is going to help her find her. She gets up and tells Charo that she reminds her of her older sister, and even though they are strangers, she makes her feel nostalgic for some reason. What more do you need, Katie? Just tell her the truth. But first, they have to get out of this dungeon and look for a way out. Natalia looks around and Chris is awake and he hears all of Natalia's story. He apologizes to her because he does not know what actually happened in her past and why she is so hard and tough all the time. Natalia also lets Charlotte know that she is training herself to be so strong that no one could beat, and she could easily bring back her sister. Anyways, they have to get out of this dungeon now, and they start figuring out a way out when they suddenly hear a loud thumping noise. They freak out and suddenly, the salamander shows up and scares the hell out of them. Natalia cannot believe that the boss of this dungeon is actually a giant salamander, and now they have to fight it. Charlotte gets in front of Natalia and tells her to escape, while she lures the giant beast away from her. Natalia does not want to leave her, but Charlotte insists. Chris is freaking out and running in circles when Charlotte tells him to stop and help Natalia get out of there safely as her leg is injured. Charlotte is totally focused on the beast in front of her as she is never letting anything hurt her sister. Chris tries to take Natalia away, but she does not want to go and leave Charo all alone with this giant dangerous beast. She tells her that she is not leaving without her, but Charlotte yells at her that she has to, and that is the best thing for her. This makes Natalia shut up, and she hears what Charo just said. It is like she just felt her sister's presence, and she could not say no. Natalia is about to leave when Charlotte uses one of her spells to attack the salamander, and the salamander actually takes a hit. Salamander is furious and blasts Charlotte so that she goes flying and passes out, falling to the ground. Her disguise is off and Natalia can see that it is actually her sister, and she appears out of nowhere here. Natalia stops to help her sister, but she is too far away, and the salamander is charging its final blast. Blasting Charlotte, something comes in front of her and actually saves her. It is Alan, and he is here to save Charlotte. Alan is mad seeing Charlotte like this, and he is not going to forgive anyone who hurts her. He is mad, and he is not going to hold back anymore. He charges his power, and Natalia and Chris are shocked to see how immense his power is. She finally has the opportunity to see the real power of the great demon lord, and she is not disappointed. The whole island starts shaking, and back home, Iruka is worried as she knows this is none other than her brother. She asks her father if it actually is her brother, and he has no doubt that it is. He has only one concern, and it is that he does not want to see the school building blown apart like before. We are back at the dungeon, and we see that Alan has charged up completely and is going to finish off this salamander. He knows handling this beast is easy, but he has to be careful, and right as he is about to finish his sentence, something happens and everything falls quiet all of a sudden. Lizzie shows up out of nowhere, and Natalia and Chris are shocked to see her here. She comes and explains that they are not allowed here, and she turns to see Alan playing with the salamander. She knows that only he can control that giant beast, as he is the one who played with him since it was in its eggshell. Hearing this shocks everyone, and they cannot believe what they are seeing. Alan is playing with the giant salamander like it is his pet. He looks at Charlotte and she is passed out. Coming out from the dungeon, Chris apologizes for doing all of this and takes responsibility. He is going to accept any punishment they are going to give him, and the chairman is happy that everything is finally set and this kid has learned his lesson. Meanwhile, Alan is holding Charlotte, and Natalia is still shocked seeing that it is actually her sister who is Charo. He tells Natalia that it is finally time to get her reunion with her older sister, and saying this, he snaps his fingers, waking up Charlotte. Charlotte wakes up and goes to Natalia, wondering if she is hurt or not. What she does not know is that she is not in her disguise anymore, and Natalia knows who she is finally. Natalia, in shock, asks her if she actually is her sister, and if she remembers her or not. Charlotte knows that it is not worth it to hold back anymore, and she tells Natalia that she has been deceiving her because she did not know how to apologize to her. She thought that she was the one who caused her a lot of trouble, and that after all of that, she would not have wanted to talk to her. That is the reason she was in disguise, and was close to her all the time so she could look out for her. Saying this, Natalia asks her something that only her older sister would remember. She asks her about the book she read to her during bedtime, and Charlotte tells her that it was about the zoo. She is sad that that book was lost because of what happened, but Natalia opens up her bag and takes out that exact book, surprising Charlotte. She tells her like a little child that she wants her to read her this book one more time and make her fall asleep like before. Charlotte saw the force in her expression, and she could not help but grab and give her a tight hug. Hugging, she tells her that she misses her a lot, and finally she is happy that she is back together with her little sister. Natalia also starts crying, and they have a good reunion. Gosetsu and Lou are happy that their mother is finally happy, and the thing she wanted is finally for her. After some time, they are all chatting when Natalia wonders if Alan is the one who saved her older sister. He is, and Charlotte explains that the great demon lord is the one who saved her life. He is the lifesaver and also her precious thing. She does not say anything after precious and is hesitant. Even Alan is blushing, and Gosetsu comes up, asking if she wants to say boyfriend or something. Charlotte freaks out, saying that it is not like that, but Natalia is not holding back anymore. She is mad that it was Alan who took her sister from the very start with the intention of making her his partner. She is not going to forgive him for that, and he is going to face the consequences of that. She extends her hand and charges up a spell to punish Alan. Alan runs away while Natalia blasts him constantly. This is happening while everyone is sitting and thinking about what they are going to eat when they go back, as they are all starving. They all think that maybe they should go to the cafeteria as well, and that is done. As Natalia is blasting the living soul out of Alan, his father and mother are standing up on the balcony seeing everything with Iruka. They finally get to know that Alan's relationship with Charlotte was a lie, and they are not happy about it. Part of it was Iruka's fault because she was the one who told them about it. Anyways, Iruka knows that their relationship was a lie, but they do have feelings for each other, and all they have to do is wait and watch. Because one day someone is going to confess, and that is the day their magical romantic life is going to start. Natalia is not backing down, and she knows breaking his body limb by limb is not enough. She has to make sure that he is not breathing after she is gone from here. Charlotte knows that Natalia and Alan are going to get along really well. A day later, Charlotte and Alan are back in his mansion, and they are enjoying their time with each other like before. They are having their tea right now, and both of them are relieved as everything is solved. Alan is happy that the thing about Natalia is solved finally, but there is still one thing bugging him. He knows and remembers what Charlotte was about to ask him that night in the bed, but she did not. He wants to know if she is still on that part, and if she is still willing to go down that road. Meanwhile, Charlotte is thinking the same thing. She wonders if she should ask him that thing that she did not ask him that night. She wants to so badly, but she thinks it is too early still. Anyways, she is thinking this when suddenly Mayach shows up with yet another package for them. She comes in and delivers the package and gets out of there without any more talk. The sender's name is not written, and Charlotte is concerned about it. Opening up, they see that it is the magical circle, and Alan knows that they should be careful with it. He opens this circle, and a summoning portal opens up out of nowhere in the room. Alan gets in front of Charlotte to protect her from whatever is going to come out of this portal when Natalia comes out, stepping on Alan and making him fall to the ground. She is standing right on his face, and Iruka and Mayach show up as well. They are happy that their plan worked and Natalia got here successfully. They explain that Natalia asked them to get her here somehow, as she wanted to meet her sister so badly. So they did this for her. Natalia wonders where Alan is. She is happy seeing that Alan is nowhere to be seen, as this means her sister is all for her right now. But Alan makes some noise. telling her that she is standing on her. She steps away, and Alan wonders why she is here for God's sake. He does not want her here, but Natalia is here to make sure that they are not in a relationship. Alan tells her that this is his house and she has to respect her, or he will make her leave by force. She is ready to take on the challenge by the demon lord, and they both get ready to fight. But Charlotte tells Natalia that it is not okay to fight and she should just stop. They are not in a relationship and will not be anytime soon, so she has to calm down. Suddenly, Dorothea shows up and slams the door right in Alan's face. He is behind the door and she comes in asking for him. He shows himself and sees Dorothea, Mayach, and Iruka are shocked. They cannot believe that the famous novel writer Dorothea is here, and Charlotte and Alan actually know her. Dorothea is happy with the compliments, but she wants to talk about something else. She is here to show them her recent publication. It is because the novel is based on these two lovebirds right here, and they are the inspiration for it. She tells them that her novel sold out like hotcakes, and everyone is demanding a sequel as fast as she can do it. So she asks Charlotte and Alan if they have made any development in their relationship or not. Getting to know that they are not anywhere with that, Dorothea is not happy and asks Alan if she can stay in the walls like before. She wants to get some content to write about, and once she is done, she will get out herself. Alan does not allow her to stay, but Iruka and Mayach insist that she should stay. They tell Alan that even Natalia is staying, so another person should not be a problem for him. But no one told Alan why the hell is Natalia staying, and he wanted answers. Gosetsu and Lu show up as well, saying that they are happy that Natalia is staying. Gosetsu is going to make dinner for the night, and everyone is going to enjoy it. Alan allows them to stay, and everyone is looking forward to the fun night they are going to have. The night is here, and Gosetsu has made all kinds of delicious things. Everyone eats to their fullest, and they go to sleep. Charlotte goes to sleep, and she has a dream where she is back in Avon's house, and she is locked in the basement for breaking something in the house. Her mother put her there, but she is happy she did. She knows she is locked up alone, but this is the only place she can breathe better than outside. Suddenly, a voice calls her name and Alan shows up, telling her that he is the great demon lord and he is here to take her away from here. They hold hands and she wakes up. Charlotte is surprised that she had this dream after so long. Going down, she sees that Alan is reading a book, and she comes into the room, asking if she can sit with him. She asks if he is not working, and he is not. They sit together, but Alan wants to do a naughty thing right now. This is the naughty thing you can only do at night, and Charlotte is looking forward to it. They go outside and light some lanterns. After that, they got some hot chocolate and gaze at the stars. Giving Charlotte her cup, Alan tells her that they are now gazing at the stars, and this is the best of the naughty things they can do at night. Charlotte loves it, and she wonders if Alan knows much about stars. He does not. Charlotte is telling him about stars when he puts his hand on her hand accidentally, but Charlotte does not mind. He asks her, and she tells him that she never minded this, so they hold hands properly and feel the night. They are talking about this and that while holding hands when Charlotte tells him that she is glad that she met him. He is the one who made her feel this way, and now she is looking forward to it every morning. She wants to know what happiness he is going to teach her the next day, and that is the best thing that has ever happened to her. She loves how he makes her feel, and she is glad that they met. Alan cannot believe that Charlotte feels this way, but he knows he will not stop until he has shown her all of the naughty things to do in this world. They look at each other, and the moment is too romantic. Both of them go in for the kiss, but as they are about to, Alan tells everyone hiding to come out and face them. All of the gang came out, and they watched them kiss. Natalia is angry that he is making Charlotte do naughty things, and she does not like that. Iruka and Mayach sure do want them to do this, but Lu is also on Natalia's side. She doesn't want her mommy to be with someone else, so Natalia and Lu start blasting Alan once again. Gosetsu joins them as well, but Alan is not stopping this time. He is ready to take all of them at once. Meanwhile, somewhere in the Niels kingdom, a guy reports to a guy high up about the whereabouts of Charlotte. He orders him to get Charlotte using any method possible, but she has to be here.